All right, live.
Mic's off.
The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media, Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning! You are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever, and due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show, a big Monday edition. Back to work for you, Dominic. Oh, no. He wasn't ready to go to work yet. Welcome back, Dom. How you doing, little buddy?
It appears he is frozen.
Monday to us all. Great to be back.
Well, welcome back, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Good to be back.
It wouldn't be a Monday if all the tech worked and everything happened right from the go.
Right.
It will distract from what I suspect will be a Monday mouth. Lots of Guinness drinking the last week, sort of mush brain.
You know, I got to tell you, they say, the Guinness over in Ireland is much better, and they're right. It's so creamy, and it's goodness. It's so good. And a few whiskey flights for dinner. It was a great time, man.
Day drinking all across Europe, as only Dom can do it. We'll talk about that later, perhaps, Dom. The prosecution rests in the hush money voter deception trial of Donald J. Trump, New York courtroom. The defense has a couple of witnesses. One's already cleared the stand, and there's some question of whether or not Bob Costello has joined the cavalcade of two defense witnesses. And I understand that Trump will not take the stand. I'm not sure what's happening there. And the WIS GOP convention in Appletown, Wisconsin. Dom, that's your old stomping grounds. We used to go party on College Ave, didn't we? So, if you didn't know, Dom and I did our share of partying on College Ave in Appleton. And it is a Monday, so I'm just going to jump in. Republican lawmakers and delegates from across Wisconsin gathered in Appletown on Saturday for the Republican Party Wisconsin State Convention. Early in the day, attendees were encouraged to introduce themselves to each other, go meet some people. It was an effort to encourage unity, something Congressman Derek Van Orden, yeah, he's a unifying sort. Congressman Derek Van Orden said the Republican Party needs. Republicans are independent thinkers, he said. All evidence to the contrary. We don't march in lockstep. We come at a problem set from different perspectives. Now, the convention was aimed at uniting Wisconsin Republicans under a common goal to gain the upper hand in the upcoming elections. Republicans are now taking the approach that we need to make sure that we have as many votes counted, because when Republicans get out and work and when Republicans actually vote, we win. Do ya? Congressman Brian Stiles said the general feeling at the convention was that Republicans are ready to turn things around. Are they? Wisconsin's ready for a change, Style said. Now, you are the incumbent. Remember that, sir. People are frustrated with the inflationary policies we've been experiencing under President Biden. Everything is 20% more expensive than when he took office. Brian Stiles said the event was also a good opportunity to generate excitement for the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee in July. Is that what they're doing? They're ginning up excitement for the big RNC. Wisconsin is the center of the political storm this year. The next president of the United States is going to be decided here in the state of Wisconsin. He said that Style. So it's a great opportunity for us to get our message out. Style said he's hopeful that along with their stance on inflation, yeah, that'll get you through, Wisconsin Republicans will get to highlight their stances on immigration and foreign policy. He's also running for re-election this year and plans to learn more about the Wisconsinites, what Wisconsinites want on the campaign trail. I'm going to continue to go out and talk to people about the issues that are challenging everyone in the state. At the end of the day, when we look at the policies that matter to families, it's the fact that folks can't afford the things that they need. Now, the angry, drunk Derek Van Orden, my characterization, said he hopes the message of unity sticks with Republicans as they head to the polls in November. We have to get back to the place where we are Americans first, meaning we have to look out for our citizens, especially Republicans. No, that's just me throwing that in. How do we do that? We talk to every single American and get their opinions. And then we tell them to shut the F up. If we're Derek Van Orden, because I allege he's an angry drunk. Try to find out what the problems are and then work with the best solution across the board. Well, thank God Derek Van Orden's out there creating unity at the convention this weekend, Dom.
If there is a creator of unity in the dictionary, Crute, it's going to have Derek Van Orden's face right next to the definition.
Well, Spectrum One News, my source there. We do have some sound for those that didn't make it up to Appletown to party with the GOP conventioneers. We've got the sound. Rich has done the hard work. Let's start with candidate. Wannabe. He's ran before 2012. I bet he gave this speech before. But here he is, the retread from Laguna Beach, the porn-stachioed Eric Hudvey at the Wisconsin GOP convention. Play cut one, please, Rich.
We have to restore a future for our children and our grandchildren. Every generation wants to do what? Leave the next American generation better off. So let's come together and give the next generation better opportunities.
Your grandkids are going to do just fine. You're rich.
He just talks in such generalities, man. I mean, it sounds like I'm watching his rollout video where he says he's running for Senate, but he doesn't say of what state. He totally ignores Wisconsin. He says he's
insert your favorite state here.
We got to make, America better for our grand. Oh, okay, great, of course. But how are you going to do that, Hovde? The guy just talks in generalities, and following what the script, the playbook, finance your own election, and check off these boxes about generally leaving things better for your great grandchildren. And exactly how? What you know what I'm saying? What legislation? What process? What are you going to do in order to make that happen? Hovde.
Well, he's going to target us in the crooked media, of course.
Yeah.
A little more from candidate Hudvey at the state GOP convention, all about the free press. Cut 4.
Look, I believe a democracy requires a vibrant and strong press. But to be that, you have to be fair and balanced. Hold me accountable, ask me hard questions, but do the same to Senator Baldwin. Please.
Oh, is he feel like he's getting singled out? Is poor Eric Hovde having a hard time? Too many questions, too many hard questions. Poor Hovde.
I don't know. Are they that difficult to answer? You're running for the U.S. Senate. The only part I don't quite understand, the whole giving up one's salary. I know he acts like he's being charitable in some way, shape, or form. But when you're so rich that you don't even need a $175,000 a year job, you're just doing it for the insider trading information. Right. You fail to win my heart or my mind.
Crute,
just
it wasn't the media in this case, but it was apparently the WIS Dems, according to WIS Politics. If you're at the Republican Party Wisconsin Convention in Appleton, look outside to see the WIS Dems mobile billboard highlighting all the ways Eric Hovde has said in his own words he doesn't like working Wisconsinites. The mobile billboard directs you to EricHovdeDoesn'tLikeYou.com, which
what? What? I like this. I like this one. What's this called?
EricHovdeDoesn'tLikeYou.com, which lays out in Eric Hovde's own words exactly how much the mega millionaire California bank owner looks down on hardworking Wisconsinites. Also, the billboard truck will drive around Appleton during the convention and direct attendees to the website. Here are a few of the featured comments from Hovde on what he thinks about Wisconsinites, according to the WISDEMs and their mobile billboard. People struggling with their weight. I think he's talking about you, Crute. Hovde said,
"Come on, man."
Hovde said people struggling with their weight should face the consequences of paying more for their health care. Yeah, Crute, I blame you.
What, I don't pay enough for the health care?
That's right.
And look at that pencil neck geek, man. Why don't you put some weight on? Why don't you eat some cheese curds? Why don't you drink some beer? The kind you didn't make at your house.
Can't have that. Other comments from Hovde, according to the WISDEMs. Seniors. Hovde said that people in nursing homes should not be allowed to vote because he believes they only have 5 to 6 months to live.
Are you sure he's not talking to you now?
Yeah. Single parents. Hovde said he believes single parents lack morals and ethics, and kids with single moms are, quote, on a direct path to a life of poverty. Well, let's not forget the farmers. I mean,
look at me, you son of a bitch. I mean, kiss my ass, Eric Hovde. I wasn't born under a rich star like you. I apologize, but my single mom did okay.
Well, at least you're not a farmer, Crute, because Hovde apparently insulted the farmers, saying they don't work hard anymore and largely drive around a tractor.
You learned that one from Tim Michaels. Lazy Wisconsinites driving around in their automated tractors. They should be pulling that till.
Give that kid a shovel. And finally, Crute, women. Hovde says he thinks females spend too much time focused on what's going on in Hollywood.
I suspect he means his own family, probably.
Wow. These are, I knew about the seniors one and the weight one, but these are some new ones to my memory here, Crute. I haven't heard the one about the farmers or the women before. So there's Hovde saying we got to what? Unite?
Well, not just Derek Van Norden uniting people through his angry drunkenness, but apparently Eric Hovde also uniting the people of Wisconsin against him. I think that Tammy Baldwin's going to do just fine.
EricHovdeDoesn'tLikeYou.com.
Or tough questions. Don't ask him tough questions.
No.
Run it by Tammy first and then check back with me. We'll check with you on the phones. They're toll free. 844-967-2789. Dom's been getting all puffy, drinking Guinness. What you eat over there?
Irish stew, a lot of fish. Oh, food was great. Absolutely exceeded my expectations on all levels. The food, the country, the company. It was a good trip, man. It's great to be back with you guys.
Right. How many times have you heard me say don't call the sign?
All of them?
You called the agent working for the seller, and once you see the property with that agent, I'm no longer free to write an offer on it. You need to hire us from the beginning, help you find the right home, negotiate on your behalf, and protect your interests all the way through the process, and it shouldn't cost you a dime.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Do you like Delta 8? It'd be cooler if you did. We proudly announce the Devil's Advocates have partnered with Herbal Aspect to bring your newest Delta 8 favorites, Devil's Gummies, exclusively at herbalaspect.com. Legal for consumption by adults, they may be mailed directly to your home. Always use Devil Radio at checkout to let Herbal Aspect know where you heard them. Order today for delivery. Devil's Gummies and Devil Radio exclusive specials only from herbalaspect.com, code Devil Radio. devilradioswag.com. You've asked for it for over a decade. We've finally gotten off our dead and responded. devilradioswag.com. T-shirt in Dom's favorite slimming black, white, or gray. devilradioswag.com. Crew necks, hoodies, coffee mugs, exclusive merchandise of the greatest radio show ever. Only at the devilradioswag.com, because we got bills too.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Why don't you ask me what it feels like to be a freak?
Charged, never convicted. The Devil's Advocates.
And welcome back to the Devil Advocates Radio Show. Happy Monday to us all. Join us on the lines at the political party. 844-967-2789.
We got a friend. Let's not make him wait all day. Pizza Box Mike, welcome to the party, my pal. How you doing?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, not too bad. Not too bad. You know, have you guys ever seen the movie Mississippi Burning?
I have.
Yeah, well, that's what Eric Humke sounds like, the Grand Dragon, when he's speaking to the crowd. Oh, I love Mississippi. They hate Mississippi. You know, we're a bunch of mongrels and heathens. But yeah, there's no message there. That's pretty weak. I mean, these guys think they can ride the nasty dingleberry coattails of Donald Trump into office, and they're just not Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Which I still don't know how anybody could be enamored with that clown. But, well, you know, here we are.
Pizza Box, how concerned are you about the trajectory of the national polling? And right now it's got Trump up in all the important states except perhaps Wisconsin. He's like tied here. It's about 7 states, Mike, and Biden's trailing in most of them.
Well, you remember how I felt back in 2016 when they decided to run with Hillary instead of Bernie, and I told you Trump was going to win. And yeah, you know, it kind of feels like that all over again. Only this time it's worse because I think this is the 10th month in a row that we're going to set all-time, you know, heat records across the planet. And I don't see, because I'm looking past this election and thinking about the environment and everything else that's in our economy, the billionaire economy that everybody still wants to keep playing in. And you know, the election just seems kind of like, you know, not as important because I know we're not going to address the issues no matter who wins. You know, watching Biden get slapped around by Netanyahu and just not, you know, showing this empathy that this country needs to show as a whole. And we're not going to. So, no, I don't hold out much hope in the election, but I kind of felt that, you know, before we got to this point. You know, it just gets worse every year, every week, every hour. I don't know, but it's still fun being around, ain't it? I went to Michigan last week, but I sure didn't waste my time drinking.
Michael, always good to hear from you. I think it was his birthday recently. Happy birthday, if that's true, Michael.
Birthday, Mike.
844-967-2789. We'll take your phone calls. The GOP convention, big happenstance. We did not attend for the 13th consecutive year.
Damn. You know, I would have totally gone, but I happened to be out of town. So I thought
I was
maybe
doing
you
my
would
hair.
go. I thought maybe you would go, Crute. I mean, you're kind of down for these things.
I've never gone to the GOP convention. They wouldn't have us, right? They don't want us there. They don't want fair press. They just want to complain about the lack of fair press.
Yeah, fair and balanced, like what? Fox News, Fox Lives? Is that what Hubby's looking for?
Well, that
some softballs,
some right-wing talk radio air support.
Yeah, right.
Righty whitey talk radio, man. If it wasn't for them, you know, you'd have to get to know these candidates, and they're less appealing. Let's just say, 844-967-2789. Better candidates, better ideas. That's what they keep telling us. Have you heard Eric Hudvey do the Pledge of Allegiance? I'm just saying. Annie from Watertown. Welcome, Annie. What do you got for us?
Hey, Annie.
Oh, hello. Yeah. Well, a piece about got me thinking, Biden's this old school stuff. So, I mean, we've got this great advantage where he's getting stuff done, especially with climate change. Because guess what? The people that really don't like anything there's no climate change, they're all half asleep and just listen to what Trump and Fox News says. So they don't know the advances that Biden has been making. Okay, so Biden's getting this in. He's got the smarts for being able to be a statesman, to, be able to make the government things work. And, we got to appreciate him for that. And, with Israel, yeah, he's old school where he's not, he's starting to wake up. But, I don't know, 98% of this country just thinks Israel can do no wrong. And, we've been allowing them to, let us come in and save their ass way too much, So,
well, Annie, setting aside Israel and Middle Eastern policy, because Joe Biden is a bystander. This is really Netanyahu's war, not ours. But would it surprise you to know that under President Joe Biden, the state of Wisconsin, the United States of America is producing more petroleum than at any time in our country's history?
Well, I wish we could just keep it here. And do people realize that we were keeping it here until, the Democrats didn't say, hey, okay, ship it out. It's okay now to ship it out. We don't keep it here. Let's run a pipeline so it's easier to ship it out even when we don't get to see a cent of it. People just don't know what's going on.
Annie, appreciate your call. A couple of thoughts. My most recent trip to Appleton, Dom, I was at Lawrence University, and it was the Wisconsin Grassroots Network Festival, and it was their 15th anniversary. I've been to that one quite a bit, less so the GOP convention.
Yeah, right.
And one of the big stories I thought, or one of my big takeaways, was the amount of effort that Enbridge and these different companies are exerting to try and put pipelines across some of the most vulnerable waterways in the world. And right here in our backyard in the state of Wisconsin, up in the Lake Superior area, the Straits of Mackinac. And it ain't good. We should be paying closer attention to water rights. It's the next war. You think oil's bad? Wait till we start running out of water. And we've got the inland sea that is Lake Superior. And Enbridge, which is not a trustworthy company, not when it comes to, not having their pipeline spill. Enbridge is putting pipelines across our last best freshwater bounty in the world. So, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, pipes leak. That's just what they do.
Well, Enbridge's pipes leak quite a bit. Remember when we talked about what happened in Kalamazoo, Michigan?
Kalamazoo River, yeah.
Well, I asked, what's the cleanup cost? And I hear from a few of the activists, Enbridge will tell you, it's clean. I wouldn't drink from it. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. We'll get back to the GOP convention in Appleton and the phone lines, 844-96-PARTY.
This is your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network.
You're probably familiar with June dairy celebrations that happen across the state, but do you know how they got started? I'm Pam Yankee with a quick update on what's happening in food and farming news on a Monday. A little history lesson for you on the way.
This is Mike. Hey. He's getting a quick haircut at the local barber school.
It's only $5. How bad can it? Oh!
Yikes. Don't be like Mike when it comes to weed control. Get the job done right the first time and plan ahead with Status Herbicide. It delivers elite corn safety and reliable performance, so you don't have to deal with more problems than you bargained for. No. Status Herbicide from BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
From breakfasts on the farm to parades and everything in between, Wisconsin's All In, celebrating June as Dairy Month. Erica Shade, Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin Community and Schools Manager, explains how it all got started.
So, June Dairy Month began in 1937, and it was used to promote drinking milk. And it actually started as National Milk Month because there was a surplus of milk, and the National Milk Month was helped to stabilize the dairy demand of that. In 1939, June Dairy Month became the official title, so we could focus more on all of our great dairy products and not just fluid milk.
Taking us back with a little history on why Wisconsin celebrates June Dairy Month, that's Erica Shade. She's the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin Community and Schools Manager. Interested in finding events near you? Go to wisconsindairy.org.
I look at this dairy cow, and again, it's the animal that I love. The things that this dairy cow can do and the way that she can produce milk, to me, there is no substitute for milk in the world. And to be able to keep cows and help cows produce that for people, to me, that's a privilege. I'm Dr. Bill Zimmer, Nutrition and Microbials, commonly called probiotics. That's BioVet. Learn more at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
And the state capitol may be quiet right now, but elected officials are still talking policy back in district. One of those, State Representative Travis Tranel. He chairs the Assembly Agriculture Committee. One area he's continuing to focus in on is the Agricultural Road Improvement Program. Tranel says it's been very, very popular in its initial year. First round of grant applications were received back in April. He said the Department of Transportation is projecting that they had over 500 applications, and if they were able to fund all of those applications, it would have amounted to about $1 billion in state investment for improvement in rural infrastructure. One other area that Tranel says will need further discussion and debate, managing foreign ownership of agricultural land in Wisconsin. That one, he says, is still in need of more discussion. I'm Farm Director Pam Yonke.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Mostly cloudy today with highs hitting the low 70s. Multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms spark up. The first one possible this evening, packing gusty winds and the potential for some hail. Soaking rain moves in tonight and severe tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Currently, it's 64.
It is one of the most important business decisions you will make, selling your commercial building. It should involve making a plan to maximize your sale price through effective and responsive marketing. Your plan should also include a clear understanding of tax consequences. You need the professionals at Altus Commercial Real Estate to guide your success. Experience and responsive professionals make all the difference. Make your plan to sell. Call Altus Commercial Real Estate today at 608-338-1101.
This is Chad Spade for Chad's Design Build. We're proud to employ some of the best carpenters and remodeling professionals in our industry. Are you honest and hardworking? Do you love to improve people's lives by improving their homes? Chad's Design Build offers excellent compensation and benefits focused on outstanding customer service, professional design, construction management, and craftsmanship, all in a nurturing, positive workplace. Whether you're thinking about remodeling your home or considering joining our team, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show at 11:06, Karen Relke from Honor Flight joins us, why it's so important, and more importantly, how you can get involved. I hope you'll join us.
The Devil's Advocates. So relevant, they have one foot in tomorrow.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Back to Work Monday edition. Welcome back, Dom.
Thank you, Gertie.
Before we get to you, callers, be patient for just a minute. Got to get a little of the story from the Cap Times out there on the record. Top Wisconsin Republicans mixed on accepting 2024 election results.
Let me guess. They'll accept them 100% if Trump wins. It's a righteous and proper and fair election. If Trump doesn't win,
Andrew Ball from the Cap Times GOP convention up in Appleton this weekend. They all assembled. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson hedged Saturday on whether he would commit to accepting the results of the November election, echoing former President Donald Trump's warning that he'll reject the outcome if he believes it's not honest. So Rojo's hedging.
Terrible.
Fellow Republican Eric Hudvey, who is running for Wisconsin's other U.S. Senate seat, said earlier in the week that he plans to accept the election results and encourages others to follow his lead. Well, that's why you're nearly unelectable by the Republican base.
Right.
The contrast illustrates how trust in elections remains an unsettled issue for Wisconsin GOP leaders. As Republicans gathered for their annual state convention Saturday in Appleton, Trump has continued to claim, falsely, are we sure it's false, Dom, that he won Wisconsin in 2020? Hell, Friday night, he went to a fundraiser on the day. By the way, congratulations, Barron Trump. Hope you had a good graduation Friday. The old man went up to Minnesota and claimed he won that state as well.
Yeah, and the governor from Minnesota did not take that too kindly.
Trump has continued to claim falsely he won Wisconsin in 2020 and has argued there was wrongdoing in that election. Recounts, requests by Trump, and other state reviews have all confirmed that President Joe Biden won the Wisconsin vote. You know who I think laid it out best? U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. We've heard the tape of him so many times laying out the 51,000 votes that Wisconsin Republican congressional and legislative candidates got that people did not vote at the top of the ticket for Donald Trump. So effectively, Rojo laid out the math of why it is that Trump lost the state of Wisconsin, and yet he won't, support his own conclusions? Won't cross the MAGA base?
I just
cross the Cheeto Messiah, Dom? Why won't he tell the truth?
It's befuddling. The governor from Minnesota went off on Trump. Tim Walz, I think his name is. And I did see a little clip of it on the Twitter recently. He goes off, and I think he's right to do so. I mean, the guy wasn't even close. And he didn't win Wisconsin. He didn't win Minnesota. The guy stands up and says these things, and they are patently false. And so you wonder why guys like, Ron Johnson, other GOPers and megas are hedging, because they're all following the lead of their orange messiah. But the guy did not win, and he continues to say it. How can you possibly support that kind of mindset? Oh, I'm a 6'5" black man named Dominic. No, you're not, dude. You're just not. I can continue to claim it over and over and over again, but it is not true.
Dominic, in an interview with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel earlier this month, Trump said he would accept the election results, but only if everything's honest. If that isn't the case, he said, you'd have to fight for the right of the country. But if everything's honest, which we anticipated will be, a lot of changes have been made over the past few years. But if everything's honest, I will absolutely accept the results as long as I'm the winner, right?
Right, exactly.
As long as I'm the winner, because that's what Tim Scott said to the Kirsten Wilker on the Sunday morning show. Well, as long as Donald Trump's the 47th president, I accept the results. That's the now Ron Johnson attitude, right? So you think he's up for VP?
Rojo. I'll jump down in here, Curdy, a little bit. Johnson gave a wait-and-see response when asked whether he'd accept election results in the fall. Here's the quote, what the senator told the Cap Times on Sunday. We have to see exactly what happens. Yeah, that's an impossible hypothetical to answer. If there are all kinds of abuses, we might have to start questioning those abuses, might have to investigate them. I certainly want to accept the results. Hubdy, who's running for U.S. Senate against...
But if we got to roll out some fake electors again, we'll do it.
And I'll be your guy, and I'll pretend to be on the phone. I'll facilitate for 10 seconds, 10 minutes, maybe an hour. We'll see what happens. I'll change my story, and we'll do whatever we can to keep our orange god in power. And damn democracy, damn your vote, damn the Electoral College, damn it all. If it's not our guy, it's fraudulent, it's fake, it's false, it's troublesome, it's not honest. The whole mindset is just twisted, and I don't want people to get used to it. You should be mad about it when people talk like that because they're lying to your face. Hubdy, who was running for U.S. Senate against Baldwin, said he would accept the results and said everyone should. when asked if he would urge Trump to do likewise. Yeah, it's the most cogent thing I've ever heard Hovde say. He pointed to Hillary Clinton's response to the 2016 election, where Clinton blamed her campaign loss on Russian interference in the election, although she never claimed the ballots were improperly counted. Let's try to get everybody in agreement. Let's clean up our voting system, our voting rolls as much as possible so we can move forward and have confidence in the election, Hovde said earlier this week. Shimeen, the chair of the Republican Party of Wisconsin, told reporters that he is pleased with the party's efforts on election integrity, including recruiting poll workers to work and observe the election administration process. We fully expect to be in a situation where we're going to accept the results.
You didn't in 2020, Shimming. You were there as part of the conspiracy, the fake elector conspiracy. Brian Shimming is in on it. Just reminding people. Dom, please continue.
A close race could require a recount, he said, and added that the party would respond accordingly. I expect and want to accept the results because that's the best for everyone. But, if it's an 800 vote race or something, we'll have another discussion. Sure, if it's close, that's fine. Absolutely. Pay for the recounts if it's beyond whatever the percentage is. That's the process. Follow the process. He followed the process last time. We did recounts. Hell, in the city of Milwaukee or Milwaukee County, forget which, Biden got more votes after the recount, right?
But if you'll recall, as part of that process, Dom, they tried to throw out 200,000 absentee ballots from Dade and Milwaukee County.
They sure
So
did.
when you talk about the normal process, it wasn't normal process. It's one thing to do a recount. It's another to file a lawsuit to throw out valid ballots, including Jim Trupus. Who's Jim Trupus? That bastard.
Rep. Brian Stile, Republican from Janesville, told the Cap Times he's concerned about the rules of the road, changing midway through the election cycle, a reference to court rulings that have altered election laws in recent years. Asked if he would accept the November results, he only said that, quote, I think we've got a great opportunity to make sure that we're increasing election integrity here in the state of Wisconsin and have a great opportunity for solid elections. What?
That's not a yes. I mean, come on, man. Just say yes.
No, they can't. They won't.
What Obama famously say, how hard is it to say Nazis are bad? How hard is it to say you will accept the outcome of the election? Sorry.
During their annual convention, top officials urged the party to come together to boost Trump, Hovde, and conservatives up and down the ballot in November. A house divided cannot stand, Johnson said in a speech. And if we're going to win, we must unify.
Using antebellum language? Well, pre-Civil War? 844-967-2789. Tom from McFarland, most patient. Welcome, Tom. What do you got for us?
Hey, Tom.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Just to build on the oil, I think this is a talking point that I wish the Democrats would exploit more. It's because it's something that the Republicans always try to pass off, that they are for, oil. And Trump has said first thing he's going to do is authorize more drilling, drill, baby, drill. Well, the reality is, as Crute pointed out, the United States is the top producer of petroleum on the world today. And that's a lot to do with not only just Biden policy, but just U.S. policy. But if you take a look at the fossil fuel company websites, you're going to see that there's a shift happening. They're no longer calling themselves oil companies. They're now energy companies. And one of the challenges that they're facing is the Republicans keep giving them leases. How often have you heard Republicans saying that we're going to expand lease opportunities in like Anwar and other opportunities for drilling? They don't want to go there. They drilling and these leases is expensive. What they want, because they see that their number is going to be coming up in a few decades, is the new technologies of green technology. That's where they're putting a lot of research into, becoming diverse energy providers and not just oil companies. So the Democrats, they're the ones that want to fund alternative energy research and production and how they can help companies bring their products to market, which is exactly what these companies want the government to do. They don't want these leases or Republican policies. The only one who wants that are Republican bases that plays great in politics. I wish that the Democrats would point that out more, that the policies of energy research are far and away more popular with the energy companies than Republican policy of old drill, baby, drill.
You make good points, Tom. Eric Hudvey, bank executive, out there in California and Utah, owns a couple banks. Well, Eric Hudvey is behind a $200 million per year solar investment on behalf of his bank. And he pointed to, if I recall the reporting earlier, Dom, and I'm usually pretty good about this, he pointed out the Inflation Reduction Act. The Joe Biden legislation said, I changed my mind on this topic. A, the cost of production of solar energy has come way down. And B, it's good policy. Strange. When it's good monetary policy, it becomes good policy.
Wait. We can make money on this, and we can get some subsidies from the government and to do so, and maybe transfer away from our base business of petrochemicals and, not burn the earth. Wow. Maybe that's something we can all work on, huh? What an idea.
Well, before we move on to the 21st century, Dom, let's turn back to a little bit more Rojo sound we got.
Oh, God.
The convention coming to your hometown this summer, Dom, and we've looked up the maps, and the Republicans, I've seen Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson, they're very upset that the protesters 0.4 miles away from the Pfizer Forum, via walking map, are going to be too close, Dom. Unnecessary confrontations.
That is such bunk. As far as I'm concerned, those protesters should be closer, sight and sound of the convention. This thing is, 0.4 miles away, 2 to 4 blocks, depending on where you're coming from, what angle within the secure zone. Now maybe they, some folks might be walking by there. Perhaps it's closer to the Baird Center, the new area that they will be using some of it. But from the Pfizer Forum, hell, man, it'll take you 10 minutes to walk there. That's not sight and sound.
Play it for the people. Here's why Rojo is a U.S. senator and you're not.
This is the same security plan that was developed before the summer of 2020, before the BLM Antifa riots, okay? So the Secret Service, they use their criteria, they set this plan, and now the director of the Secret Service is saying, well, they have the authority to set the plan, but they don't have the authority to change it. They put the protest zone a block away from the actual convention site. The initial plan had the entrances on the north and south side adjacent to that park. There's no control over that park. There's no fences around it. So it's a gathering site for all kinds of potential mayhem. So this is a very obvious concern. It ought to be corrected. And if the Secret Service does it, I'll just be baffled by why they wouldn't want to provide that additional protection now that it's a different time and place. We saw the riots of 2020. We see the inflamed situation, the division being caused and pushed by, for example, President Biden. This is a serious security concern that could be addressed. I hope they address it.
Very selective memory that senator of yours has.
Come back to the States and see Ron Johnson all over the news, all over the place, saying stupid ass things like that. The BLM riots. Oh, he was so mad about that. Heaven forbid people stand up against, police killing unarmed young black men. That's just too much. Remember, what did Ron Johnson say about the January 6th? They stayed within the velvet ropes and they were very peaceful. But if they were BLM rioters, protesters, well, then he would have had a problem.
Then he would. GOP convention. He's your finest representative.
Oh, God.
Come back with us.
He's the leader of the GOP in the state of Wisconsin, man. Rojo. This is what we're dealing with.
Well, only as a stand-in for the Cheeto Messiah. It is the party of Trump and Johnson and Schimming and Style and Van Orden. What a fine crew they make. More Devil's Advocates.
WMDX.
Do you like Delta 8? It'd be cooler if you did. We proudly announce the Devil's Advocates have partnered with Herbal Aspect to bring your newest Delta 8 favorites, Devil's Gummies, exclusively at herbalaspect.com. Legal for consumption by adults, they may be mailed directly to your home. Always use Devil Radio at checkout to let Herbal Aspect know where you heard them. Order today for delivery. Devil's Gummies and Devil Radio exclusive specials only from herbalaspect.com, code Devil Radio. Darcy Haber, I hear you have solar panels on your office building. Since when are real estate brokers so concerned about the environment?
Crute, you should know that at Solidarity Realty, we provide outstanding real estate service while adhering to our core progressive values. Environmental sustainability is a big part of that.
So you really walk your talk, huh?
Yeah, even walk to work.
Come on, always.
Well, sometimes I bike, and if I have an appointment across town, I use my solar panels to charge my plug-in.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Check them out at solidarityrealty.com. DevilRadioswag.com. You've asked for it for over a decade. We've finally gotten off our dead and responded. DevilRadioswag.com. T-shirt in Dom's favorite slimming black, white, or gray. DevilRadioswag.com. Crew necks, hoodies, coffee mugs, exclusive merchandise of the greatest radio show ever. Only at the DevilRadioswag.com, because we got bills too. Hey, Dom, how many palindromes can you name in 30 seconds?
Race car, mom, dad, reefer, kayak, level. Did I say mom already?
You're forgetting one really important one.
Zero res.
Not only is it the coolest palindrome ever, it's also our favorite.
Right, I remember. Why is that again?
They advertise with us.
Zero res, my favorite palindrome.
And carpet cleaner. Get the best carpet cleaning ever. Schedule your carpet cleaning online at ZeroResMadison.com. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Think you know politics? Again, welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
Yeah, thank you for listening to Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Join us on the lines 844-967-2789.
Rich, you should have held the been caught stealing for the Michael Cohen conversation just a little bit later. Troubling news from the Manhattan courtroom. Cohen confessed to having stolen from the Trump organization during the Stormy Daniels transaction. Muddled in the $420,000 is $60,000 worth of theft. We'll get to that in the 4 o'clock hour.
Unreimbursed expenses. You know, what are you going to do?
Well, today he confessed to effectively larceny on the stand.
The grifter got grifted. Amazing. You got, dogs laying with each other. What can possibly happen?
Tom, I want to turn my attention to the the GOP convention in Appleton. Primary to fill Mike Gallagher's seat pits a Trump-backed candidate against the familiar names. Are they familiar? Maybe to our audience. We got smart people listening, Dom, and they can always be a part. 844-967-2789. But I wanted to throw this out there. For those that aren't paying attention to the 8th Congressional District. That's the former Gallagher district. When I was talking about the bad Republicans, I erred by not including Tom Tiffany, Scott Fitzgerald, and Glenn Grothman in that mix.
Thank you. Yes.
Because they're also part of your crew. Before voters in northeastern Wisconsin knew of Tony Weed's plan to run for Congress, the former gas station chain owner had already scored Republicans' most sought-after endorsement, Donald Trump. Weed, I think that's how you pronounce it, Dom. I'm calling him Weed. He's the Weed man. Weed met with the former president for the first time during Trump's campaign rally in Green Bay earlier last month. Trump autographed a document Weed brought detailing his plans to run, and he publicly endorsed him soon after. One day after Weed formally announced his candidacy, here's what he said. We need political outsiders who are willing to put Wisconsin families first and deliver American first policies and stand with our next president, Donald J. Trump. Well, that's all Trump needed to hear before he offered the endorsement, right? Weed said during his campaign launch, among the reasons listed for running, to give Trump an ally he'll need in Congress. Another ally in Congress, Tom.
It's all about loyalty, baby.
Now, the developments directly injected Trump's influence into the primary race for an open, solid red House seat held most recently by Republicans not closely aligned with the current party leader. It also added an unexpected dynamic, powerful support for a political newcomer against two Republicans who have represented parts of the 8th. Well, they're Andre Jacques and Roger Roth, and I thought Andre Jacques still's got a real chance here, Dom. He's been up there politicking for some time. Now, the 3 Republicans in the primary to replace retired Rep. Mike Gallagher include former Appleton State Rep Senator Roger Roth, former Appleton State Senator Roger Roth, and De Pere State Senator Andre Jacques, Dom's boy. And they are plotting their own paths to August 13th. Still, all three of the Republicans have fallen in line with the former president, as you knew they would, Dom, even as Trump called on Roth to drop out and to sign up the direction of the Republican Party as a whole. You loser, you drop out, I don't even know you. The fat boy can stay. Just how influential the endorsement will be remains unclear. Trump's social media post of support in which he misspelled Weed's name has been the extent of the former president's involvement to date. Though his son, Donald Trump Jr., and I don't know if you've got this on your calendar, Dom, he plans to stump for Weed in Green Bay early next month, June 3rd, I believe. Other factors outside of the Trumps like fundraising and advertising will be key to determining who wins the primary. But the district that once went back and forth between the two parties has become solidly red in recent years. Till now, Mitt Romney won it by just over 3 points in the 2012 presidential race. Trump won it by 18 points and 16 points in 16 and 20, respectively. Weed getting into the race and having Trump's endorsement is probably the most important development in the race, according to Kyle Kondek from Sabato's Crystal Ball at the University of Virginia Center for Politics. It doesn't mean it's necessarily over, but it's a valuable endorsement to have. If you're MAGA.
When Trump labeled Roth a rhino and no friend of MAGA and called on Roth to drop out of the race in his endorsement of Weed, Roth responded by doubling down on his support for Trump. I will win this race and help win Wisconsin for Donald Trump in November.
Please, sir, may I have another beating?
Please, sir, may I have another? Please, sir, may I have another? Asked about Trump's repeated false claims that he won Wisconsin and the election in 2020. Roth, for example, Roth was the only candidate to say Biden rightfully won. Well, no wonder why Trump wants him out. Weeds said only that he is focused on winning his current race, but claimed there had been issues with the election. Jacques did not say who won 2020, claiming there is, quote, plenty of evidence that would support the fact that there were Republican votes that were missed in that election, whatever that means. And while some Republicans in the district have lent much weight to Trump's endorsement of Weed, with the Trump endorsement, the race is over, but don't treat it like that. State Rep. Elijah Benke of Ocano said at Weed's launch, other factors are at play outside of Trump's influence. Yeah, there are other factors. Like who won the election? Apparently, only one of those three gentlemen will say.
And he will finish last in the primary.
Yeah.
Talking about Roger Roth.
Yeah.
You, sir, are a rhino compared to the other true MAGA candidates. Andre Jacques. Trump hasn't even disrespected you yet. It's coming.
It's coming. You know it's
and
coming.
The Weed man, with the Dino gas station chain his old man gave to him. Because money makes right. I think Dr. Kristen Lyerly is going to win that seat. We'll see. She's the Democratic alternative. Looking better all the time.
Indeed.
More doubles. A happy hour is next. Stick around for it. Dom's back. We're all back to work. It's Monday.
All right.
Future. If they like working with their hands and want to help build up surrounding communities, they should consider a career in the skilled trades through a 4-year apprenticeship as a union carpenter. To learn more, it's easy. Visit northcountrycarpenter.org and fill out the interest form to get more information. That's northcountrycarpenter.org.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app. You're listening to Mad Radio, WMDX 1580 AM Columbus, W224EG Madison, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
ABC News. I'm Daria Alvinger. The prosecution has rested in former President Trump's hush money trial. The defense is now questioning Robert Costello, an attorney and Trump ally. The U.S. offered its condolences to Iran on the death of President Ibrahim Raisi, but rejects any claims that it may have been involved in the helicopter crash last weekend that killed him. The TSA is bracing for what it expects to be the busiest summer for air travel. And it isn't even Memorial Day.
4 of the last 10 days have been in the top 10 busiest in the TSA's history at airport security checkpoints, according to new data. The agency saying it's already seeing the highest passenger travel numbers ever, and this summer it expects numbers to go quite a bit higher. More than 2.8 million people flew on Friday and on Sunday. The agency says expect airports to be busy already.
ABC's Alex Stone, the Dolly, the cargo ship that rammed the Key Bridge, was towed today to Baltimore's Marine Terminal. This is ABC News.
This news report is sponsored by Wisconsin Capital Management, LLC, serving their clients for 40 years. Visit wiscap.com.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Wisconsin Republicans are stressing party unity after this weekend's state convention in Appleton. U.S. Senate candidate Eric Hovde.
To the old guard, welcome the new guard. They bring new energy, new ideas. We need them to refresh our party. And to the new guard, be respectful of the old guard. They have worked tirelessly for this party, not only for years, but for decades.
Delegates elected Terry Didrich and Pam Travis to the Republican National Committee. Travis helped submit a false slate of electors for Donald Trump 3.5 years ago. Wisconsin unemployment is down to less than 3%. That's more than a full percentage point under the national average. The number of jobless people statewide went down about 1,300 since last month. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei-Olson. The Madison Metropolitan School District will discuss the 2024-25 budget tonight. The current proposal would cut costs by $2.4 million. The district is also expected to add 2 tax referendums to the ballot in November, including for its long-term facilities plan, which will be presented tonight. The board will vote on the preliminary plan in a few weeks, but the final budget will be approved in November when enrollment numbers are final. There's a voice missing from the Madison airwaves today. Jim McGaw has died. He spent the last 11 years on the morning show at WOLX, but he grew up here in the Madison area, spent his entire life here. He was on the air here for about 40 years. He had this deep connection to his listeners and a huge smile, and of course, such a great voice. We'll miss you, Jim. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei-Olson. This is WMDX News.
The Packers back in Green Bay. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Packers began OTAs, voluntary off-season practices. The team has a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley. Matt LaFleur on what he likes about Hafley's coaching style.
Just to see how he interacts with the guys. You know, he does a great job of giving them the why behind everything we're doing. You know, being able to throw counters to what people are going to do.
NBA, the team that eliminated the Bucks, the Indiana Pacers, winning Game 7 over the Knicks, 130-109 in New York to advance in the playoffs. Knicks guard Jalen Brunson suffering a broken hand in the game. Baseball, the Brewers in Miami, after losing 9-4 to the Astros. Pat Murphy with praise for Houston catcher and former Brewer Victor Caratini.
And I'll tell you, you want an unsung hero of the weekend, it's Caratini. Caratini did a great job understanding how to get the most out of his pitchers. He made a difference. If it wasn't noticed, Caratini made a difference this weekend.
That's Pat Murphy with sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy tonight with showers and thunderstorms developing late, lows in the upper 50s. Some strong storms tomorrow with pockets of heavy rain, high mid-70s. Still a chance of rain Wednesday, breezy and 70. Sunshine returns for Thursday, highs close to 80. Currently at 62 degrees.
This is Chad Spate. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the hatred and misinformation that consumes our world, but I also know that we cannot build a house of justice and inclusion on a foundation of hatred and lies. We have to practice what we preach. At Chad's Design Build, we confront injustice the same way we confront a poorly built home, with love, compassion, intelligence, and persistence. We engage our community the way we engage our clients, with honesty and humility and the dogged determination that we can do better. Chad's Design Build, remodeling done well with love.
Wisconsin Capital Management in Madison is a registered investment advisory firm and has been serving their clients for the past 40 years. The firm is focused on providing investment advisory services to its affiliated mutual funds. Their approach to investment management is designed to provide competitive performance over the entire business cycle. Their clients rely on them to manage their assets through the fluctuations of market cycles, and they strive to outperform over the long term. For information, visit wiscap.com.
Todd Albaugh. Everybody join us next time as our friend and colleague Luke Mathers joins us for a Tuesday Tangent with Lukester. Be here.
The Todd Albaugh Show, weekdays noon till 2. The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever, and due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a Back to Work Monday edition. Welcome to it, Dominic.
Oh, Crute, good to see you. Thank you, Rich, working hard on the sound and the board, taking your calls, 844-967-2789. Good to be back.
I've immersed myself in the testimony of Michael Cohen for going on a week straight, Tom. I've done nothing but sit home and consume the transcripted testimony on the CNN and then listen to the pundits talk about it in real time, Dom, because nothing like giving response in real time. We like to do that when news breaks. But here's the craziest part of today. First and foremost, the prosecution rested after Michael Cohen left the stand. And there are some really troubling revelations. We'll get to that in a minute. But then the defense called their two witnesses. One, an expert from Todd Blanche's law firm. That was a quick witness. And then Robert Costello, who supposedly was on the stand to offer testimony that Michael Cohen had perjured himself during this trial. And somewhere during the course of the day, Costello pissed off the judge.
Yes.
To the point, he was side-eyeing the judge. He was interrupting. There would be objections. The judge would sustain them, and Costello would plow right through the judge.
He would keep talking to get his point out.
So
you're not supposed to do that.
Dominic, as the Washington Post reporting at this hour, Trump's lawyers called two witnesses, including Robert Costello, a defense attorney whom former Trump lawyer and key prosecution witness Michael Cohen spoke to in the 2018 while under federal investigation. Well, got a little goofy, Dom. Dom, I don't know which best one, man. A lot of live action here. I don't want to sort through in real time, Dom. But apparently the jury has been sent home for the day. The defense is now making its motion to dismiss the case, which is routinely done in nearly all criminal trials at the close of the prosecution's case. Judges typically deny such motions. Justice Juan Merchan is listening intently to defense attorney Todd Blanche say there's no evidence the former president, Donald Trump, committed a crime. I would say there has been more evidence presented that Michael Cohen committed a crime than Donald Trump by his own confession on the witness stand today, Dom. This is not the sort of news you want to see breaking from the prosecution's key witness. He stole from the Trump organization to the tune of $30,000. And then, if you believe the Weisselman detail of how they grossed it up, how they accounted for the taxes, basically he claimed a bill of $50. The bill was $20. He took $30 off the top and then had the Trump organization double it up. So Michael Cohen confessed to larceny in the amount of $60,000, which begs the question, why wasn't he prosecuted on that charge? But it certainly undermines the prosecution's case.
Does it?
Well, consider this. It's the very math transaction that's the underpinning of the fact that Trump supposedly knew that the books were getting cooked to cover up this crime, right? Well, do you think Donald Trump knew that during the course of that transaction, Michael Cohen was robbing him of $60,000 and signed off on it?
Do I think Trump was aware of it?
That he was being robbed and thought that was kosher and signed off on it?
I would suggest
logic dictates no.
I would suggest Donald Trump knew what the amount was. Now, maybe that amount was grossed up based on the testimony of Cohen today, but Donald Trump certainly knew what the deal was.
This was not, and I'm just telling you, the underlying evidence is being questioned, right? And Cohen confessed not to the gross up. Yeah, everybody knew about that.
What evidence is being questioned?
The specific mathematical equation where they arrived at the Stormy Daniels payoff. For the first time, we learned while Michael Cohen was on the stand today that mixed up in that $420,000 is $60,000 of theft committed by Michael Cohen against the Trump org. That's something the prosecutor should have let out of the bag, maybe prepared the jury for.
Perhaps.
When that came up, correct, yes. Did you rob the Trump organization? Correct, yes. And then you doubled it up. Yes, that's also correct. Well, that's a little damning when it is about the very math, right? Because here's the problem. The thing that they're alleging is that Trump knew all about all the details. He's a micromanager. He knew everything. Except in this case, and you can say, well, he got grifted. Sure he did. He got grifted by Michael Cohen to the tune of $60,000. If you believe Cohen's version of it, Cohen's still butthurt that he didn't get his full Christmas bonus. He got shorted like $100,000. So he's looking for his retribution.
Yes.
And he stole it. And I think that undermines him a bit as a witness on the stand today.
More than the perjury, more than the jail sentence.
The perjury is not a clear thing. In fact, the perjury, the alleged perjury regarding the phone call, and specifically, they claim they caught him in a lie. In the phone call, and I came on the air last Thursday and addressed this at some detail, Dom, but the phone call was from Cohen to Keith Schiller. Keith Schiller being the body guy.
Yeah.
And Michael Cohen, apparently approached him because some 14-year-old was crank calling him. And he wanted to get the Secret Service involved, even though the kid's like, I'm 14, don't do it to me. It's just a joke. Well, he gets Schiller involved. And up until now, he had always said specifically the purpose of this phone call was to inform Donald Trump that the hush money had been paid to Stormy Daniels. Now, that part of the story is actually probably corroborated more than it was. And there is an ask that a new picture be submitted into evidence. Just moments before this supposed phone call happened, Donald Trump left the stage at a campaign rally and was standing there in the witness photo with Keith Schiller. It actually sets the stage because Todd Blanche, on behalf of Trump's team, tried to imply that these two people were not in the same place at the same time. This phone call could not have happened.
They tried to imply it, but they didn't specifically deny it? Okay.
Well, they're claiming Cohen had lied on the stand.
Yes.
And he'd never brought up anything about a 14-year-old crank calling him. This was too much specificity that Michael Cohen had forgotten about. But he had always said that this phone call was all about informing Donald Trump that the hush money payment had been made. Now, the evidence? Well, the evidence is still there. But here's my greatest fear. They have not made a direct connection. And if Michael Cohen is the only witness, he has been dragged through the mud so many different ways. When you confess to stealing $60,000 from your boss on the stand today, that's going to undermine you a little bit as the star witness, I would say. But I think both things could be true. But again, when you set it up, the prosecutor didn't do a very good job. Alvin Bragg's team did not do a good job, because if the guy said, hey, I called about this, but once I got the boss on the phone, I told him, hey, I made the hush money payment. Well, that takes all the guesswork out. Both things could have happened in 96 seconds.
Sure.
But when you say, all I did was call to tell the boss about the Stormy Daniels payment, and you've got text messages and all this sort of prior talk about a crank call and 14-year-old and what are we going to do about it and how are you going to help me? And he calls Schiller because Schiller's the security guy. And the defense is claiming they weren't even at the same place at the same time, Schiller and Trump. Well, that would sort of throw out the specificity of the phone call.
At first, you said that the defense was insinuating that they were not at the same place at the same time.
Yeah, now there's a photo.
Okay, but
they're trying to introduce into evidence, the prosecutor's team.
It was introduced as evidence. That is evidence. That happened. So the insinuation that you refer to didn't work, because obviously they were there. And the defense tried to keep that out of the evidence.
Specifically, again, trying to tie up the loose end of this October 24th, 2016 phone call. Did it happen? I quote the Raw story, one of my favorite aggregators, Dom. Donald Trump's attorneys are fighting the introduction of a piece of evidence that legal experts believe could be extremely important in proving the charges against the former president. Prosecutors want to show jurors a photo of Trump with his former bodyguard Keith Schiller at a campaign rally shortly before the 2016 election that legal experts say could prove testimony by Michael Cohen about a phone call he made to the former president about the hush money payment, right? Whoa, prosecution has a photo that shows on 10/24, Trump was indeed with Schiller just minutes before the call Cohen said he had with both of them. That was posted by former prosecutor Andrew Weissman on the Twitter, which Blanche has sought to refute. So, Blanche thought he had caught Michael Cohen in a lie. And there was real question last week how damaging this had been to Cohen's testimony. Because Cohen had never said publicly prior, this was about a 14-year-old kid crank calling me. He'd always said it was about the hush money payment to Stormy. Always. But this photo actually helps support his evidence. The photo shows Trump and Schiller walking off the stage of an October 24th, 2016 campaign rally at 7:57 p.m., 5 minutes before the 8:02 phone call in question. Don't forget, they have all the call records. They can prove it happened. They can prove it's 96 seconds, but they can't prove that Trump was part of that phone call, which would tie him to the allegations that he knew that Stormy Daniels was being paid off. Now, there's no other plausible reason for this, right? The defense has offered no alternative theory, but they don't have to.
Apparently they will not, and perhaps Donald Trump, although to be decided on Tuesday, has not taken the stand. Let's just say that.
Blanche is arguing the photo isn't relevant, but it's huge. It tends to corroborate Cohen by showing Trump was exactly where he says he was minutes before the call, and Schiller could have easily passed Trump the phone. Yeah, but what about the $60,000 you stole as part of the Stormy transaction? That does sort of muddy the math, if you know what I'm saying. Come back, more Devils.
Home for the John and Gordy Show.
Hi, I'm Mike Crute, and I've signed my share of commercial real estate leases. In Madison, I highly recommend Jeff Jansen from Altus Commercial Real Estate. Jeff guided me to my first radio station location on the west side. He helped us move to University Ave, and eventually Jeff set up the lease on the Civic Media World headquarters. No one works harder to provide options in commercial leasing. Call Jeff Jansen and his team at Altus Commercial Real Estate at 608-338-1101. DevilRadioswag.com. You've asked for it for over a decade. We've finally gotten off our dead and responded. DevilRadioswag.com. T-shirt in Dom's favorite slimming black, white, or gray. DevilRadioswag.com. Crew necks, hoodies, coffee mugs, exclusive merchandise of the greatest radio show ever. Only at the DevilRadioswag.com, because we got bills too. Do you like Delta 8? It'd be cooler if you did. We proudly announce the Devil's Advocates have partnered with Herbal Aspect to bring your newest Delta 8 favorites, Devil's Gummies, exclusively at herbalaspect.com. Legal for consumption by adults, they may be mailed directly to your home. Always use Devil Radio at checkout to let Herbal Aspect know where you heard them. Order today for delivery. Devil's Gummies and Devil Radio exclusive specials only from herbalaspect.com. Code Devil Radio.
It's springtime in Wisconsin and our greenhouses are bursting with color. We invite you out to Kopke's Greenhouse on Sand Hill Road near Oregon. With over 3.5 acres of production space, we are the area's largest direct grower to consumer retailer. For hours and directions, check us out at kopkesgreenhouse.com. That's Kopkes greenhouse.com. We are also back on the square at the Dane County Farmers Markets.
The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Devil's Advocates, a radio show. Join us on the lines anytime. 844-967-2789. With the
Dominic, I definitely want to talk more about the Cohen testimony. It is the Donald Trump trial, though. It's not Michael Cohen on trial. You wouldn't have known it from the cross-examination, though. But I want to throw out the fact that your boy Kid Rock, MAGA-loving Kid Rock, spews inward and waves gun at Rolling Stone journalist.
Come on, man.
I know you've been missing some of the pop culture since you've been gone for a week, Dom, so I want to bring you up to date.
Thanks.
Kid Rock, the Trump-loving, Dom-loving rocker who has become a top right-wing cultural warrior, reportedly went off the rails recently when he agreed to be interviewed by Rolling Stone journalist David Peisner. During the interview, Peisner and Kid Rock got into a heated discussion about former President Donald Trump's dehumanizing rhetoric about immigrants, after which Kid Rock began pounding Jim Beam and Diet Cokes. Captain doubles, double captains, Diet Cokes. See, you know, when you get into the Jim Beam, you know you're going to get all belligerent.
Guy.
At this point, he began to get especially belligerent, according to Peisner. He's sitting in a dark leather chair, shouting at me about something or other. When he reaches behind the seat, pulls out a black handgun and waves it around to make some sort of point, writes the Rolling Stone journalist. And I got a effing gun right here if I need it, said Kid Rock shouted. According to Peisner, I got them everywhere. Keeps them around the house, Dom, in case he needs to threaten someone.
Around like roaches, man.
No, I think he called it an effing N-word gun right here. So, you know, threw a little racial epithet in there for good measure, Dom.
Come on, kid.
Elsewhere in the interview, Kid Rock tried to make the case that the Republican Party was the best one for black Americans, even as he repeatedly used the N-word to talk about them. It was the Republicans that freed the effing slaves, Rock insisted. Yes, but the Republicans were the Progressive Party back then, said Peisner. Kid Rock not so great on the history, but you know, all these Republicans like revisionist history.
Like mega to know any history. All you got to do is listen to the Orange Man repeat and rinse, and that's all you got to do. It's very simple.
I know where you're going with this, and I'll tell you why I don't. Because Trick, the hardest hitting N-word in Detroit, was like, dog, you had that S right. We need Trump. I'll call him right effing now. I'm telling you, these dogs are calling me like, yo, N-word, you had the right one. You had that one right. Do so. I'd like to see him invite all his buddies over in such a fashion, Dom. At another point in the interview, Kid Rock seems to lament that he's not as beloved by music fans as Prince was. Purple Rain is probably the greatest Prince song ever written, he said. Prince is known for Purple Rain. I'm known for shooting up Bud Light cans. Really, is that what you're known for? But do you want that? Asked Peisner. You don't want that to be your epitaph. I don't care, Kid Rock replied. But apparently he does care, Dom. Deep down, he cares.
Deep down, he wants to be accepted.
You are no Prince.
You're no Kid Rock.
844-967-2789. Devil's Advocates Radio Show. That's enough for me, Dom.
All right. Man, I mean, that cat used to be fun. He did some stuff with Eminem, man, And then it just went all country and Trumpy and lost me.
Wasn't it about the time he started dating Sheryl Crow? What happened there? Sheryl Crow wrecked Kid Rock.
Come on, don't blame her, man.
No, I was
I think we got a little money and then, kind of figured out it's better to be right and rich than not right, left-leaning right, not right as in correct. 844-967-2789. LA Tom, you are up. Happy days, Tom. What do you got for us?
Hey, guys. First off, Robert James Ritchie is a complete fraud. Kid Rock's real name, Robert James Ritchie, from a very, very rich millionaire family who didn't have to work for anything a day in his life. I think we should really set the record straight that this guy is a fake. He tries to come off like he's some type of blue-collar guy when he was the original Richie Rich and lived that life, from early childhood. So let's not. I'd much rather be an Eminem than be Richie Rich.
Well, Richie Rich, I never realized his old man was a car dealer.
Yeah,
owned multiple car dealerships.
Yeah, man, he was doing all right.
Exactly. He's not what he claims to be. He's a fraud, just like that orange turd that's a frickin' emperor that has no clothes. And I wish people would just wake up. I wish people would just realize, honestly, this whole election, all these elections coming up, these aren't about Trump. They're not about Joe Biden. They're going to be all dead and gone by the time your kids and grandkids grow up. This is about us. This is about what it is that we want for our future country. And it's not about owning the libs. It's not about any of this stuff. It's about what do we want as a country? Do we want an authoritarian dictatorship or do we want a democracy?
Some of them do, Tom. I just got to tell you, yes, they do. They absolutely do. They want their glorious orange god to tell them what to do every single day. That's what they want.
What Bud Light cans they should be shooting.
That's what they want. They crave it for some reason, Tom. I don't get it. These were the the patriotic types, as they would claim to be, but really all they want is an old white guy to tell them what to do.
Yeah, you got that right. I mean, that's basically they had a fit when they thought Barack Obama was that. These guys are the biggest followers on the planet. They're just losers.
Oh, don't even get me going on the beige suit, Tom. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
I call them losers because that's what they are.
Losers.
You're never a loser when you listen to the Devil's Advocates. We appreciate, especially when you participate at 844-967-2789. You can call us at that number. If the boss is watching, just send a text. I read them, even though Dom basically is just here to look pretty on the radio.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. The power is coming back on in southeast Wisconsin after a round of severe weather. We Energies reported about 4,000 homes and businesses without power during the worst of it this morning. Storms are forecast to possibly be even worse in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois tomorrow. The leading Democrat in the Wisconsin Assembly says she thinks her party can take the majority this year. That would mean winning 52 seats.
It is a big lift for us to flip 15 seats in 1 year. No question. Do I think we're building the infrastructure to do it and have the candidates to do it? I do. I think it's entirely possible.
Representative Greta Neubauer told a WISP Politics luncheon last week that lawmakers will have to be more responsive to voters under new maps, no matter who wins. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You may have noticed more patrols on the Beltline. State troopers and Dane County deputies are increasing their presence on Madison's most used highway. WSDOT Secretary Craig Thompson says they're seeing more of what they call risky driving behaviors, extreme speeding, aggressive driving, and using the flex lane when it's closed. He says one morning they caught a driver on the Beltline at 120 miles per hour. Those extra patrols will continue throughout the summer. And the world has some new euchre champions crowned right here in Wisconsin. The event was held over the weekend in New Glarus. There were hundreds of competitors. Todd and Judith Wolf from Dubuque and Madison, respectively, won the doubles contest. Meanwhile, Yamuna Reddy of Chicago took home the singles prize. The weekend was a fundraiser for the New Glarus Cares Community Foundation so they can build a new inclusive playground. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. This is WMDX News.
I'm Pete with the 60-second Showbiz Beat. Billy Zane is playing Marlon Brando in a new biopic called Waltzing with Brando. The film debuted at the Cannes Film Festival and is based on Bernard Judge's memoir, Waltzing with Brando, Planning a Paradise in Tahiti. Judge was recruited by the actor to design the first ecologically perfect retreat for the island Brando purchased in the South Pacific in the 60s. Brando most famously portrayed Vito Corleone in The Godfather and is a two-time Oscar winner. To combat the lack of original ideas coming from showbiz, this is the age of the reboot. The latest rebooting will be from TBS as they've announced a new version of Dinner in a Movie. The network says the reboot is due in part to a lack of material thanks to the writers and actors strike last year. So they are hoping more people will want to watch movies in their home. The original show was hosted by Paul Gilmartin and aired from 1995 to 2011. The reboot will be hosted by Jenny Mullen and American Pie's Jason Biggs. Just don't let him near the baked goods. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy tonight with showers and thunderstorms developing late, lows in the upper 50s. Some strong storms tomorrow with pockets of heavy rain, high mid-70s. Still a chance of rain Wednesday, breezy and 70. Sunshine returns for Thursday, highs close to 80. Currently at 62 degrees.
At Chance Design Build, we provide remodeling done well with love. Our commitments extend beyond our workplace and your home to support our community. We judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin, and we believe all humans deserve quality, publicly funded education, child care, and health care. But what do you believe in? At Chance Design Build, we believe every person must have the opportunity to thrive. If you're thinking about remodeling your home, go to chancedesignbuild.com to learn more about our commitments to you, your home, and our community.
Hey folks, Stephanie Miller here. As an enlightened progressive, you know how important it is to do business in accordance with your politics. That's why Solidarity Realty is my favorite real estate firm in Madison. Solidarity Realty is a local independent realty company that lives their values. They provide outstanding expertise and protect your best interests while building community and promoting sustainability and diversity. Vive la resistance! Find them today at solidarityrealty.com. And don't forget, tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
John Peterson and Gordy Young.
On our next program, we'll talk about Project 2025. You know, it's a little bit scary.
We're going to try to put a friendly face on it.
Yeah, we're going to workshop it. Tune in.
The John.
The big and tall of political talk. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Monday edition. Checking out the text line, Dom. Kid Rock went south, literally, when he tried going mainstream and could only destroy classic rock songs he sampled. What's left when you no longer have it? Country music, the easiest music genre to perform. He went MAGA from there, I'm sure. Well, he definitely ended up MAGA. I don't know for sure, Z's. Someone questioned, this thought had crossed my mind. What if Michael Cohen was like a Manchurian witness to get Donald Trump off? Still offering loyalty. Had just been on the sidelines. You know, I just think the truth went out. I just think the guy hated him too much. You know, he went to prison for him.
You know, so did Weisselberg. I mean, you have to consider any possibility, I guess, but I wouldn't buy that. Not the way that the vitriol has been, and the guy served time and all the back. I find that unlikely.
Callers, be patient just a moment longer. I've got just a little update from the Manhattan courtroom. It was an angry, tense moment in the courtroom as a furious Justice Juan Merchan ordered the courtroom cleared. Everybody out of here. Reporters clamored to allow to be heard before they were ejected. This was the first time we've seen Merchan's temper erupt. Lawyer Robert Costello was answering questions even after objections to questions were sustained. A little bit more from inside the courtroom as they're clearing it. The row of Donald Trump's sycophants, supporters, including several lawyers who are not officially part of the case, and Eric Trump, were not removed with the rest of the people in the room. Well, what was the problem? As the Washington Post is reporting it, here's what was said. Are you staring me down right now? An angry Judge Merchan asked the witness, getting the stank eye, Dom. New York Supreme Court Justice Juan Merchan grew irate with witness Robert Costello, again for Trump, when he felt the witness was disrespecting his instructions about talking back to the court during testimony. Merchan got angrier at what he took to be Costello's apparent disrespect, even as the judge was chastising the lawyer for making faces of exasperation at him. Are you staring me down right now? The judge asked incredulously of Costello. Clear the courtroom, the judge then decreed. Clear the courtroom. Defense witness Robert Costello spoke back to Justice Juan Merchan and made disrespectful gestures. Couple of these, one of these, prompting the judge to scold him and throw all reporters out of the room in Donald Trump's hush money trial so that he could have a talk with Costello. Going to the principal's office. Merchan refused to reconsider the highly unusual move of sealing the courtroom in a monumentally important case. And apparently, Dom, about an hour ago, the jury was sent home for the day. Robert Costello has not finished his testimony.
Yes, he will continue.
Tomorrow, but not Wednesday. And then no final closing arguments this week. They're going to give everyone the 3-day weekend and then closing arguments on Tuesday next. That's my understanding, Dom.
That's what's being reported. A little bit more on that. Costello repeatedly spoke over Merchan's sustained objections, which witnesses sometimes do to have the jury hear what they want to say, even if the questions asked are prohibited. In Costello's case, he continued to do it. The witness muttered, "Geez," loud enough for Merchan to hear from several feet away, and Costello held up a hand in gesture of frustration. The judge sustained several prosecution objections in a row, handicapping Costello's ability to answer. "What did you say?" Merchan said. "What did you say?" Before Merchan told the people in the gallery to leave the room, the fired-up jurist asked the jury to leave so he could have a more concentrated talk with Costello. "I would like to discuss proper decorum in my courtroom," Merchan said. "So when there is a witness on the stand, if you don't like my ruling, you don't say, 'Geez,' okay? And then don't say, 'Strike it,' because I am the only one who can strike testimony in the courtroom. If you don't like my rulings, then you don't give me side eye and you don't roll your eyes." Costello then gave him a look the justice didn't like after trying to argue about the ruling. "Are you staring me down right now?" Costello did not answer.
You trying to be hard, bro?
Super hard, bro.
Wouldn't it be funny if one of the witnesses was thrown in the penalty box?
Right.
A little contemptuous of the courts. 844-967-2789. Let's go to the patient callers. Mike from Menominee Falls. Welcome, Mike. What do you got for us?
Hello, Mike.
Hey, guys. I appreciate you taking my phone call as always. Hey, just two quick questions for you. I would love to get your take on it. I know we're on the opposite side of the fence, and I really appreciate you guys always taking my call because I know I'm not in the same viewpoint as you guys. My first question is, the topic of drug testing got brought up prior to the election. Do you think it's fair that Joe Biden should have to succumb to that prior to the debate?
If they both agree to it, Mike, come on, man. I mean, it seems a little juvenile to ask either 80-something octogenarian candidate to take a drug test, but the accusations have been leveled both ways. So, make them pee in a cup like people have to do for their unemployment insurance.
Understood. And that's all I was going to ask. My second question for you guys is, with how things are shaken out for Joe Biden in the most recent unbiased polls that I've seen, that he's losing black votes, Hispanic votes, do you feel as though they could dump him prior to the Democrat National Convention if he doesn't do well during the debate? Because we know that RFK is going to take votes from him. He's not going to take votes from Trump supporters.
Well, that's arguable, Mike.
Yeah, that was arguable. I would disagree with that necessarily, Mike. Go ahead, Chris.
Dom, I'll let you take a swing at replacing Biden.
Mike, hang on a second. Stay on the line, I want to. Damn it, Mike. All right. Well, if you're not going to engage and play, then I'm not going to answer that question. No, man. Biden's going to be fine. If there's anybody who's going to be replaced, then I had to ask you the same question. Look at Donald Trump. Right? The guy could be a convicted felon by the time he rolls into Milwaukee. That's not a great look for the GOP. As far as
Are we talking about this trial in New York?
Yeah.
Because that's the only trial that will proceed at least before the RNC happens in July, right?
Yes.
Even with a conviction, that will not change the attitude of the MAGA faithful.
Sure. I'm not Crute. Does any cult member's attitude ever get changed when the cult leader doesn't ascend to heaven on the date and time that they predicted? No, man.
Well, if you laid out evidence of
it doesn't
Joe,
matter to I'm not talking about flipping the cult members, man. It's the independents. It's the moderate Republicans. It's those who might think that, damn, a convicted felon? That's not a good look. And we still got 3 trials coming up. And then, maybe by the end of June or sooner, the U.S. Supreme Court comes out and says, no, Donald Trump, you do not have absolute immunity. Or, yes, the president does have absolute immunity. And then thereby Biden throws Trump in the clink anyway. So
here's my greater concern, Dom, and I've expressed this in your absence. I could very well see a reasonable doubt expressed by one of the jurors in this case. It'd be very easy to see a hung jury, which, as far as Donald Trump's going to call it, that's vindication. That's exoneration. As long as he's not convicted, he's claiming victory.
He's going to claim victory no matter what, but please continue your thought.
Well, please tell me how he would spend 34 felony convictions into a victory. I don't see that as much.
Man, my old man, every time he walks in the courtroom, he gets $1 million. He was out there today after court saying the prosecutor needs to be prosecuted. Donald Trump will grab, no matter what happens, man. Don't you understand what's going on? You got all these Republicans, senators, right? Someone else say, I don't know if I'm going to trust this election. Everything's, topsy-turvy for the GOP right now. So if Donald Trump ends up being convicted, he'll say, well, it's persecution. It's a proof of persecution. We'll appeal it, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter to Donald Trump. He's going to claim victory. He's going to claim persecution. He's going to claim
But claiming victory after you're convicted is different than claiming exoneration if there's a hung jury, because you might be right in the latter case.
To whom? Is it different?
To the independents, Dom. Okay. If he's vindicated at court, if the evidence show that he's not convicted on these 34 charges, you know what? He's got a hell of a lot stronger case to make to the independents, to the swing voters, to those that don't know every nuance of whether or not Michael Cohen robbed him of 60 grand.
It's arguable. What case does Donald Trump make upon not being found guilty, upon a hung jury?
They're all witch hunts.
Cases whole above his head. What is the case he's going to make to the independents that would be any different versus a conviction?
Well, guess what? He gets to make the case about the economy and inflation and Joe Biden's miserable record, as he would describe it.
That's going to happen anyway, dude. Nothing changes. That's my point.
Yes, a lot changes if the guy is not convicted at trial, Dom, because we're not going to get another trial. You don't get another bite at this apple. And if the king doesn't get his crown knocked off by this trial, you know what? I think it puts him in a stronger position going into the fall. I think he's more likely to win for his exoneration if that's what happens.
Do you have any actual evidence as to why you think that? That's your gut feeling. I don't think it's the case. I think the
guy gets indicted. He wins the nomination running away.
The megas are going to hold on to him no matter what. Trump's going to claim it's persecution and or victory no matter what. These things are already set, dude. So,
but if he wins that trial, he could win at the ballot box. That's the difference. If he loses that trial, he's dead. If he wins that trial, it strengthens him as a candidate. That's the difference.
Based on what?
Based on the claim he can make that I was exonerated at trial, these are all political prosecutions by the Biden DOJ. Whether or not it's true, dude, doesn't make...
man. It's not the DOJ. I'm so sick of this, man. It's the Manhattan DA. Let's get
okay.
No, it's not okay.
And you think swing voters out there are sitting there drawing distinction.
Oh, the Biden DOJ. This is a state prosecution. Let's not feed into the BS. This is not a Biden prosecution.
But if it's a failed state prosecution, dude, he's exonerated as far as the general public is concerned. Yep, until proven otherwise, until convicted at a court of law, he's been exonerated.
Are you going to believe that?
I wasn't going to vote for the man either way. I'm talking about swing voters and independent voters.
Now you're saying swing voters. I got you.
I've always said that.
You just said
because those are the people that matter.
I get it, man. But I don't think that that's going to change the calculus, man. He's still got 3 other trials coming.
Not between here and election day. You don't.
There's still investigations. There's still activity. There's courtroom.
Yeah, and Russia. Right? I mean, come on, man. You're starting to sound like Rachel Maddow. The next one will get him for sure. You know what? There is no next one. He's going to be a strengthened candidate because of this crappy hush money trial in New York. He's going to come out stronger on the other side.
When you're ready to go to trial, when you have the evidence, you roll. And it's a chance you don't know it. Maybe you get a conviction, maybe you don't. Probably you do, maybe you don't. But you don't not prosecute it for a political reason because it might, quote unquote, make him stronger. I don't buy that for a minute. I mean, he's damaged goods now. He's damaged goods then. He's going to be damaged goods in the future. So you think that somehow independents are going to, lean into Donald Trump because one juror decided that they weren't going to go along with it? Then now it exonerates him? Trump's going to claim victory no matter what. That's what he does.
I'm going to talk to someone smarter than you, Dom. Maggie Dawn, our pal. Welcome to the show. What do you got for us?
Hey, Maggie.
Hey, guys. Well, I think you're both kind of right, but I do probably tend a little bit towards Dom on this one.
Nice talking to you, Maggie Dawn.
Yeah, right?
Why?
I think he is going to claim victory as well, in that he will say, I'm being martyred. This is me standing for your cause. And again, I'm not sure that independents will be entirely swayed if he is convicted because of the nature of this prosecution, right? They're going to spin it as a paper crime. I think it will grab some independents, some swing voters. So on margin, is it better that he gets convicted? Yes. But I don't know if that's enough to actually change November's outcome. So again, I'm with you both a little bit on this one. But I'm really, really tired of hearing Republicans and conservatives repeat this garbage line that black and brown folks, black folks and Hispanic and Latinos are somehow moving away from Joe Biden in numbers significant enough to change the outcome of the election. I think that that's false. Joe Biden was challenged a little bit by that in 20. It remains a significant challenge, but this is not some great mass exodus to Donald Trump. The man is an avowed, explicit, racist.
Got to cut you short. Hard breaks. You know the industry. More devil's advocates.
From Zero Res Madison here. What's the best way to clean your carpet? Well, not surprisingly, it's the same way you clean your clothes. You wouldn't clean a dirty shirt by running a white cloth over the top of it, nor would you try to get it clean by sprinkling chemicals and rubbing it in. For a real clean, you need hot water, agitation, and a cleaning agent, just like your laundry. For a fresh, healthy clean with no residue, call Zero Res Madison or schedule online. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Is doing it yourself not working out? Don't need the whole building for your business anymore? Call Altus Commercial Real Estate. They'll help you find quality tenants to fill your vacancies. They market, they show, they negotiate the terms. They do all the legwork and keep you informed. Call Altus Commercial Real Estate at 608-338-1101. 608-338-1101. DevilRadioswag.com. You've asked for it for over a decade. We've finally gotten off our dead and responded. DevilRadioswag.com. T-shirt in Dom's favorite slimming black, white, or gray. DevilRadioswag.com. Crew necks, hoodies, coffee mugs, exclusive merchandise of the greatest radio show ever. Only at the DevilRadioswag.com, because we got bills too.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them. With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise. No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures. It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Love it when you join us on the lines at 844-967-2789.
I think you and Maggie are both wrong for this reason. A conviction has a different impression with swing voters, independents. They are much more likely to abandon Donald Trump if he is convicted. And it's not just Donald Trump they will abandon. They are far more likely to abandon those that support Donald Trump. That is analytically provable. An exoneration, a vindication, whatever you want to call it, a hung jury, anything short of conviction in New York makes Trump a stronger candidate. A conviction damages him, I have no doubt. Up to 4 to 6% of MAGA faithful would reconsider their support of Trump if he is convicted at trial. So you can't tell me this is all just a coin flip and Trump's going to claim victory either way. It's a lot easier to claim victory when you win.
Really? Really? Did he win? Are you kidding me, man? He was just in Minnesota telling he won Minnesota. He was in Wisconsin saying he won Wisconsin. You got to be kidding me, dude. Do you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth when we're looking at what just happened? Dude went to Minnesota. I won the election. No, you did not. You did not win. He claims victory when he loses. He's going to do it again. Even if he's found not guilty, he will claim victory. If he's found guilty, he will claim victory. That's how he does it, man. He's been doing it since he lost.
Yeah, but the headlines are going to tell the people whether or not he's lying in that circumstance.
Are they really? That's what the headlines.
Guilty. You think the headlines across the country, it's Trump guilty?
Biden wins were the headlines. What is Trump saying this weekend? He won Minnesota.
It's going to be pretty hard for him to ignore the reality of a
harder
conviction.
Than claiming he won the election that he lost? Is it harder than that? Come on, man.
844-967-2789. I don't think they're equitable circumstances, although you make something of a salient point. Joe from Madison, you've been very patient. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Joe.
Welcome back, Dom. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you had a good time.
Yes, thank you. It was awesome.
To the spiritual...
I feel less welcoming at this moment.
I wanted to return to a comment that the caller from Tom calling from L.A., your good pal, had. And he had this wonderful line where he said, look, people, I'm paraphrasing, this isn't about the personalities of Trump, and this isn't about the personalities of Biden. This is about the policies that what we want for our country as we go forward. And I thought it was a really interesting point, and I would tie it into a little anecdote that was part of a New York Times story when looking at the upcoming election. The reporters interviewed a guy, 52 years old, union worker out of Hartford, Wisconsin. And this guy said he was going to be voting for Tammy, but he wasn't going to vote for Biden. He didn't like him. He wanted, he's a Trump man all the way. Now, this guy was quoted in this article as saying that there has never been more construction in the state than there has been over the last couple of years under Biden. And we can look at the fact that it is the policies of, the infrastructure bill, the CHIPS bill, creating tens of thousands of jobs across the country. And including among that is the Microsoft data center down in that part of the state. And as we all know, this is going to finally save us from that stinking, awful Trump Walker mess of Foxconn. But this guy complains that he's upset about the fact that when Biden came to visit to celebrate the creation of this Microsoft data center, which is going to be huge, lots of jobs, lots of oomph for our future, he claimed that this was going to end. He claimed he was unhappy because the visit ended up slowing down concrete trucks. With that kind of disconnect, where people they can't see what is going to be, what side their bread is buttered on, and what policies are going to move them forward in their own individual lives. Boy, I really think we need to keep concentrating on that mobile truck that the Dems were running around the Republican convention that just said, Richie Rich, Laguna Beach, Eric Hovde does not like you. He's a Laguna Beach boy. He's not a Wisconsin boy. So I think there's plenty to talk about as we go forward. But boy, I just wish we could turn the personality side down and look at the policies, because right in our own state, we can see the policy of Foxconn was a terrible failure, and this Microsoft data center is full of possibilities and is going to be bringing a great deal of interest and power and money and jobs to the state. So choose wisely, people.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah,
844-967-2789. Cam from Nina sneaking a few more in here. Cam, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, Cam.
Hey guys, I think I hate to say it, but I usually agree with you.
Wow, Cam, buddy, you got the worst phone line ever. Mark from Sussex, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, Mark.
Hey, thanks for taking my call there, gentlemen. Crute, I want you to mark this date down because it might be the first time that I ever agree with you on both issues. And I think Dom needs to take a pill or he's going to have a heart attack. So the first thing is, I'm sorry about that, Dom, but anyway, Trump is one juror away from being the next president. And I say this because all of the independents are now seeing that this is what it is. It's a witch hunt against Trump. The one in Georgia, this thing in New York, all this crap. And I can tell you right now, and also the second part of that.
Mark, I got to correct you. The other trials would display real god-awful crimes.
Oh, no.
But a hush money trial in New York about a porn star 8 years ago is not the way I would have led. It's all about the January 6th, Mark. That is indefensible.
Well, and maybe Dawn is also incorrect that if Trump moves the Latino or the African-American vote 3, 5, 7, 9 points, whatever.
Never going to happen, Mark.
It's going to be a run.
Never going to happen.
Okay. Look at the poll. Dom, look at the poll.
No, I got you saying. I see the polls. It's not going to happen. I just don't buy it, man. I don't buy it.
Okay, but if you move to 3 points or 5 points, okay, and now you throw in the independent, it's over.
Mark, you might be right, but you might be wrong. But you might be right, but you're probably wrong. Come on back, a happier happy hour. Your calls are always welcome. Just be more right than wrong if you can. 844-96-PARTY.
concludes for another day.
I'm spending a lot of time and I'm spending a lot of money, which is what they want. They want me to spend my time and my money. And I'm willing to do it because ultimately we have to fight for the Constitution.
Tomorrow, defense witness Bob Costello will be back on the stand. The chief prosecutor at the International Criminal Court is seeking arrest warrants for the leaders of Israel and Hamas over their actions during the 7-month-long war. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Congress may sanction the court over those warrants. The Dolly, the container ship which slammed and brought down the Francis Scott Key Bridge back in March, is now in Baltimore's Marine Terminal. The Dow closed down 197 points today. The NASDAQ rose 109. It closed at an all-time high. This is ABC News.
This news report is sponsored by Wisconsin Capital Management, LLC, serving their clients for 40 years. Visit wiscap.com.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Wisconsin Republicans are going into the rest of the campaign season urged to stick together. Senator Ron Johnson told the state party convention in Appleton Saturday that includes those with differing ideas about reproductive rights.
Trust me, I know people don't like what I'm saying. Many people in this room do not like what I am saying. I'm just laying out the reality situation. Because in the end, we have to win elections.
Wisconsin's most powerful Republican was not at the convention. Assembly Speaker Robin Voss was booed at last year's gathering. Investigators are trying to figure out who planted marijuana found growing on the state capitol square last week. Investigators say it was clearly planted. The plants have been removed from the flower bed and taken into evidence. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. 5 affordable housing developments are getting extra funding. The housing crisis here in Madison is extraordinary, worse than bigger cities like Nashville or Austin. The Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority is giving tax credits to the 5 projects across the city. They'll create 450 units, and more than half have to be for lower-income renters. State officials and developers say these will make a dent in Madison's housing crisis, but there's a lot more work to do. The Madison broadcast world is mourning one of our own today. Jim McGaugh of WOLX has died. He was beloved by listeners of McGaugh in the Morning and his colleagues in radio and television. A Madison area native, he spent 4 decades on the air here. Jim, we miss you already. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. This is WMDX News.
The Brewers in Miami. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers began a 3-game series against the Marlins. Yesterday, the crew lost 9-4 in Houston. The Astros' Kyle Tucker struck out 3 times, then changed his shoes, ended up with a pair of home runs. Colin Ray struggled on the mound for Milwaukee, giving up 4 runs in the first inning. Pat Murphy.
No, Colin didn't pitch great. He'll be the first to tell you that. Walking people is not his gig. He can't do that. He knows that. But he's so dependable that he went back out there and kept us in the game so we didn't have to go deep in our pen. And I know he didn't pitch well. I know he didn't have command like he normally does.
Brewers lefty DL Hall looked good in rehab with the Timber Rattlers. 3 up, 3 down in an inning of work. On Sunday, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. NFL, Packers holding OTA practices. Matt LaFleur on what he hopes to learn, watching the rookies work alongside the second- and third-year players.
Well, first of all, it's just good to get them in the building to start to form a relationship with these guys and find out what they're all about and try to push them to be their best.
With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy tonight with showers and thunderstorms developing late, lows in the upper 50s. Some strong storms tomorrow with pockets of heavy rain, high mid-70s. Still a chance of rain Wednesday, breezy and 70. Sunshine returns for Thursday, highs close to 80. Currently at 64 degrees.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the ground advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America.
Wisconsin Capital Management in Madison is a registered investment advisory firm and has been serving their clients for the past 40 years. The firm is focused on providing investment advisory services to its affiliated mutual funds. Their approach to investment management is designed to provide competitive performance over the entire business cycle. Their clients rely on them to manage their assets through the fluctuations of market cycles, and they strive to outperform over the long term. For information, visit wiscap.com.
Schwaba.
On the next Nightlight, I welcome comedian Mike Toomey and Civic Media meteorologist Brittany Merlot, who gives us an overview of summer weather and tells us how to deal with ticks.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the Monday edition, a happier happy hour. Back to work for you, though, Salvia.
happy hour, Crute.
Jeff says you came back on fire. He said you should take time off every month. And I'm like, how would that differ from right now?
I think Jeff is a smart man, and I should heed his advice.
See, you find callers that have held over, and if you're patient, you're first in the queue. But, Dom, I want to throw a new topic you missed while gallivanting in Europe. Presidential debates, baby. They're coming. It's for real. We hear June 27th. It's a Thursday night.
I'll believe it when it happens.
Jennifer Rubin over at the Washington Post, how Biden's debate performance could blow open the race. Well, let's hope it's not Trump's trial that blows open the race, Don, but here's what she has to say at the Washington Post. President Biden took the media and political world by surprise in challenging Donald Trump to 2 debates. Then, swiftly accepting offers to CNN and ABC, Trump accepted the debates on June 27th and September 10th. But whether he will show up is another matter. You taking odds? Does Trump show up? I think he's got to, right? Anytime, any place.
Well, he also said he was going to testify, and he hasn't yet. And
well, that's an advice of counsel. Well, if he's fully vindicated and exonerated at trial, there's no.
I was going to show up, but Joe Biden wouldn't take the drug test, so no, I'm not going to show up. Again, it's really hard to literally take this man at his word. So I don't know. And there's a significant possibility that he does not end up debating.
I can only think of one other person, like for trying to commit to an event that's less reliable than Donald Trump. One other person. You
Who's
know
that?
him, Dom. You know him.
Hey, come on, man. Contemplation is prior to commitment is warranted sometimes. You gotta think the things through. But once I commit, I'm committed.
Oh, you're committed. You should be committed. Trump has done Biden a favor over the past few months by painting the president as an infirm, doddering old man. If Biden appears even remotely sane, alert, and engaged at the debates, he will have defied expectations. Moreover, Biden already accomplished an important component of a successful debate. In getting out in front to reach quick agreements with CNN and ABC, the president might have snagged, for the CNN-hosted June 27th debate in Atlanta, 2 of the most competent moderators available. 2 Jake Tapper and Dana Bash have been blunt in calling out Trump's lies and grilling Republicans about Trump's 2022 sit-down with racist Holocaust denier. Trump's bigoted language and his derogatory comments about Jews, they're more than capable of pinning Trump down. Now, unfortunately, for moderating the September 10th debate, ABC News did not select George Stephanopoulos, who has distinguished himself for blunt talk about Trump's abnormal behavior. The designated moderators, David Muir and Lindsey Davis, without general election debate experience, will need to be on their toes. And Biden's challenge is threefold, I tell you, Dom, threefold. Expose Trump's unfitness, reassure Americans that he can continue to lead the country, and remind voters of the horrors of the Trump presidency. Can he expose Trump, Tom?
I think so. Exposing Trump's defects won't be hard, since he can rarely go for more than a few minutes before sounding unhinged. Trump was angry, rude, and argumentative in the first debate with Biden in 2020. Judging from his rallies and social media rants this year, there is every reason to think Trump's self-control has deteriorated further. Psychologist John Gartner, I don't think he's capable of sustaining 90 minutes of unstructured conversation at night under stress without slipping. When he does slip, Biden should pounce on it and shine a light on Trump's thought disorder in real time. He suggests Biden be super aggressive and call out his opponents' more disturbing statements, ergo saying of Trump, what kind of person runs for president to threaten revenge? Others, such as a lawyer and prominent Trump critic George Conway, argue that the way to disarm Trump is to treat him like the nut job he actually is, but do it with humor. Indeed, Biden has taken to regularly mocking Trump, calling him a loser, and even suggesting Trump is sick. I hear you're free on Wednesdays, he said in his video challenge, referring to the courtroom schedule and Trump's trial in New York.
Were you aware of that, Tom?
Yes.
That was funny.
It was funny. Whatever tone Biden deploys over the course of a long debate, he will likely get multiple opportunities to pounce. If Trump blathers on about Hannibal Lecter, whales killed by wind turbines, the rigged 2020 election, or the corrupt judges and prosecutors who torment him, Biden can call out Trump's nuttery. That's bonkers. Man, did everyone hear how crazy he sounds? In a more serious vein, Biden should not be shy about denouncing Trump's promise to be a dictator for a day or his conceit that he can suspend the Constitution. The president can also pressure Trump to denounce white nationalists, something he refused to do in 2020. And Biden can accuse Trump.
Name him. Stand back and stand by.
Biden can accuse Trump of being weak on the border, given his urging Republicans to kill a tough bipartisan border bill earlier this year. Such guy Gibbs might spark a Trump meltdown. In sum, Trump tends to erupt when attacked and seems to show no self-awareness when he sounds daft. Gartner's Shrinking Trump co-host Harry Siegel, a senior lecturer in psychology at Cornell University, tells me, again, Jennifer Rubin at the Washington Post, Biden needs to remember that the more Trump feels attacked, the more angry he gets. And when Trump gets angry, his speech becomes tangential, disorganized, and sometimes hard to follow. No wonder Biden is eager to debate him.
Will it happen? And will you be watching with me, Dom, at my side?
You know, I think it's a 50-50 shot right now. I don't know if it'll happen. I wonder, some things that could happen before then, of course, a guilty verdict might change his mind. The guy makes promises and talks trash all the time, dude. How do you determine what he actually follows through on? You can't.
Well, I keep asking you over and over again until you commit. 844-967-2789. Ron from Milwaukee. Welcome, Ron. What do you got for us?
Hey, Ron.
Gentlemen, after your spirited debate in the early period, it occurred to me that, and I'm not trying to suck up to you guys, because how would I do that at a distance?
Beer and weed, leave it at the studios. But go ahead, Ron.
It occurred to me that at your best, and your best is very often, you remind me in your debates where you go back and forth and really lay it on and really get, mean and down and dirty with each other on this stuff. It reminds me a lot of an improved version of that old public television show from the 70s called The Advocates. And, there was a right-wing advocate attorney and a left-wing advocate attorney, and then an issue was placed on the table, and for an hour, everybody in the room, including the witnesses and audience, would debate the issue, a political issue of the evening. And the moderator was Michael Dukakis, who was surprisingly good. I think that's why he ended up getting the nomination before he fell apart. But when you guys are going and you don't even have a moderator, you've got yourselves as moderators, it's pretty enlightening. I mean, I came out of there thinking, you know what? I agree with Dom, and I agree with Crute. I mean,
come on, man! You can't have it both ways, right? You got to pick sides.
Well,
pick sides.
I can. It's
That's the thing about
it's a range.
There are so many nuanced conversations, right? And each and every day we try to react to the daily headlines, Ron. Yeah. And obviously sometimes it's emotion, but we try to be well informed on these topics. And mostly I'm right, but only because I know that Dom's temporarily distracted. But Ron, any other political thoughts? Any debate? I mean, I love the compliments, but any debate thoughts?
Yeah, the other thing is, I the one thing I do keep thinking is that, given the way things have played out, I don't think these trials, as many of them as happen or don't happen before the election, are going to materially affect the outcome of the election. However, I think there are a whole bunch of other things, marginal things, and we should always remember those, like how the GOP is working at the margins to corral voters, Biden voters and Democratic voters, and cage them, and also
cage them, sir.
Said much
Clarify cage. What do you mean by that, Ron?
Oh, that's a term in electoral politics where they're not physically caged. Their vote has been gerrymandered or whatever. And then the other thing that, and nobody's really talked much about this, which is kind of surprising, which is, are Republicans going to come up with another October surprise like they have in numerous past elections? And it's like, sure they are. They're going to come up with some ridiculous anti-Biden story that's new, allegedly new. I mean, it'll be recrafted, and that is going to be complete BS.
Ron,
it doesn't matter.
I can already tell you what it's going to be. I think we forget that Hunter Biden is going to have his own trials. I believe one proceeds on June 3rd, one proceeds on June 20th. I mean, Hunter Biden's, it's going to be the summer of Hunter and the Hunter trials. And, they're going to cast those smears upon the father, of course, and they're going to say, well, see, he's just like Trump. He's got a ne'er-do-well kid. Trump's got two of those, maybe three or four. But, Ron, it's going to blur the electorate. They're not going to be able to distinguish. And I don't think there will be any other trials for Trump. This was not about the real crimes. The real crimes was the January 6th. The real crimes was trying to influence the outcome of the election. Unfortunately, paying off a porn star is a crime technically, but I'm not sure they substantiated it, sir.
This trial really isn't about paying off a porn star. It's about running a bad set of books and lying about your expenses as a corporation. But
you're right about that, Ron. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. More great debates. We'll see.
WMDX. It is one of the most important business decisions you will make, selling your commercial building. It should involve making a plan to maximize your sale price through effective and responsive marketing. Your plan should also include a clear understanding of tax consequences. You need the professionals at Altus Commercial Real Estate to guide your success. Experience and responsive professionals make all the difference. Make your plan to sell. Call Altus Commercial Real Estate today at 608-338-1101. DevilRadioswag.com. You've asked for it for over a decade. We've finally gotten off our debt and responded. DevilRadioswag.com. T-shirt and Dom's favorite slimming black, white, or gray. DevilRadioswag.com.
crew necks, hoodies, coffee mugs, exclusive merchandise of the greatest radio show ever. Only at the devilradioswag.com, because we got bills too.
College may not be the right path for your kid, but that doesn't mean they can't earn a good living and have a secure future. If they like working with their hands and want to help build up surrounding communities, they should consider a career in the skilled trades through a 4-year apprenticeship as a union carpenter. To learn more, it's easy. Visit northcountrycarpenter.org and fill out the interest form to get more information. That's northcountrycarpenter.org.
Hi, Gordy Kopke here. When I first invited folks to my farm 40 years ago, I could never have dreamed that would become the area's largest greenhouse. With a focus on quality plants at reasonable prices and a special emphasis on customer service, we have received the People's Choice Award as Madison area's best greenhouse. Located 2 miles east of Oregon in the beautiful town of Dunn, I invite you out to see why we are not only
Check.
the area's largest greenhouse, but also the best.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
Rudy
Mr.
Giuliani.
President. Happy birthday to you.
And welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. You join us on the lines 844-967-2789. Poor Rudy, man. He got one hell of a birthday present, didn't he?
He did. And we have June birthdays. It'd be a hell of a time for us to get served. But former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani was officially served with a felony indictment on Friday night for allegedly interfering in Arizona's 2020 presidential election. Officials with the Office of Arizona Attorney General's Chris Mays served Giuliani in front of nearly 100 guests at his 80th birthday celebration in Palm Beach, Florida. The New York Post reported early Saturday morning the former personal attorney to Donald Trump was in high spirits when he was served around 11 p.m. on Friday at the Lake Clark Shores home of GOP consultant Carolyn Wren. Prior to being served with felony indictment paperwork, Giuliani reportedly belted the song New York, New York by Frank Sinatra in front of what the Post said was between 80 and 100 guests. Some of the more high-profile attendees, maybe they were just high, Dom, of the party were longtime Trump aide and dirty fixer Roger Stone and former White House strategist Steve Bannon.
Wow.
So
best friends, best of people. I got the best people.
Tom, some partygoers started screaming, and one woman even cried as Giuliani was served.
She wept.
I understood, and I have seen a photo that the guy that served him the papers actually sang along "Happy Birthday" to Rudy and then handed him the papers. Oof. He's in the birthday photo and he's beaming. He's smiling in the back. But the process server was apparently, no more than 2 away from Rudy when the happy birthday was being wished upon.
I thought I saw
and many more
reporting that he was like talking trash about not getting served and they better do it soon or they're not going to be able to do it at all. And then he ends up getting served like a few minutes later.
Giuliani said it was unfortunate they chose to barge up and startle guests during the celebration of this man's 80th birthday. So anyways.
Man, 80 years old, you're going, why would you want to put yourself into a situation when you're 80 years old and having to deal with this? I mean, he did all this willingly, Rudy Giuliani.
If Arizona, here's what Giuliani had tweeted. If Arizona authorities can't find me by tomorrow morning, 1, they must dismiss the indictment. 2, they must concede they can't count votes. Mays posted a screenshot of the tweet after it was deleted, and then she tweeted out the confirmation that Rudy had been served. Happy birthday, Rudy.
Happy birthday, big guy.
844 967-2789. Dana from La Crosse. Welcome from God's country.
Hey,
How you
Dana.
doing, Dana?
Hey, good afternoon, Devils. Good to have you back, Dom.
Thank you.
Say, first off, on the Rudy Giuliani thing, kind of a related, similar one. Did you see that photo of Lauren Boebert when she was speaking outside the courthouse? Somebody walked up to her and asked her to autograph their playbill for Beetlejuice. It was a pretty funny photograph. Anyway, going back to debate topics and the immigration bill. Yeah, I think Biden should definitely hammer him on that. And I'm hoping you guys can help explain something for me. Whenever we bring up that they reneged on that bill, their complaint about it, the MAGA complaint about it is, it was going to allow 5,000 immigrants in a day. And I don't have a retort for that because I don't know what the legal limit was or what does that really mean, and what's the difference on that. I was hoping you guys might have some insight on that.
The legal limit on what? I'm sorry, Dana. I caught myself catching headlines for a moment.
The MAGAs are saying the reason they don't want that immigration bill, that bipartisan bill, is because it was going to, quote, let 5,000 illegals in a day. And I'm like, well, okay, so
that'd be about 1.5 million a year, maybe a little more than that. That would be, I think, a acceptable number of immigrants that could be easily assimilated into a country of 335 million people each year. Man, we need more laborers than that. We need the labor.
Because what is it now? What is the legal limit now? I'm sure there's something in some code somewhere. That's what I was wondering.
According to Trump, it's always too many, and we've got to lock it down. Now, it is my strong impression, Dana, that it is a difficult process to get legal citizenship, and I'm not trying to negotiate away the rights of others, but I could see some compromise on green cards, working visas. There's got to be a workaround, and I think a bipartisan bill, not perfect, neither side liked it, except that it did solve a lot of problems, and it put a lot of funding, real funding, into the Border Patrol. And you hear all these complaints, you're not doing anything. Well, every time we give you a good idea, Trump kills it. Because it's politics season, man. It's the witching season.
They don't even want to supply the lawyers and the judges to help process these people to get them assimilated. And their idea that it's a voting, trying to incorporate voters, well, it's a crappy strategy because it takes like 7 years for them to be eligible to vote.
Well, if they naturalized and became citizens, Dana, and the vast majority of them,
once they're naturalized.
Of course, the vast majority of them do not ever end up voting. And to think that they're voting illegally, as Trump would allege, I mean, becoming felons for the right to cast a singular vote in any election, the only people dumb enough to do that are always Republicans, Dom. I mean, you find me 10 stories about Democrats trying to vote illegally, and I'll find you 100 stories about individual Republicans doing it. Often they're at the highest levels. Folks, we're the Devil's Advocates. Rudy, Belt Mount.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing it his way.
He was.
Maybe a different Sinatra to it. Well, if you can make it there, Don, you can make it here.
Make it anywhere.
If you could make it onto the Devil's Advocate show, you've accomplished something. Probably one of your life goals, bucket list, all that kind of stuff. All you got to do, dial 844-967-2789.
Madison's home for Nightlight with Peach Waba.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. A Southeast Wisconsin high school track star competes in regionals tonight after the WIAA reversed itself on a ruling that he was ineligible. Josh Onwanili from Campbell Sports spent 2 years in Ghana with his missionary parents before coming back to Wisconsin. He'll try to set a new state record in the 100-meter dash. The leading Democrat in the Wisconsin Assembly says lawmakers will have to be more responsive to voters under new legislative maps and more competitive races, no matter who wins in November.
People in my own community would say, why should I drive hours to wait more hours to testify on the state budget when I know that they are not going to put in the resources we need?
Representative Greta Neubauer speaking at a WIS Politics luncheon last week. I'm Terry Bell, and this is Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Authorities say over the weekend, a man stabbed 2 Walgreens employees with scissors in Rock County, and nobody knows why. Janesville police say they've never seen anything like it, completely random and unprovoked. A 27-year-old Janesville man was arrested within about 15 minutes, and the 2 employees are expected to be okay. Burger lovers rejoice. It's Madison Burger Week. 26 restaurants across the city are highlighting their best burgers or creating specialty ones just for this week. And then 23 are competing for the title of Madison's Best Burger. Many local mainstays are participating, like the Nitty Gritty, Cooper's Tavern, Jordan's Big Ten Pub, and Deluxe. Try them out, and then you can vote. Madison Burger Week runs through Friday. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. This is WMDX News.
I'm Pete with the 60-second Showbiz Beat. Prime Video's Fallout is a multi-billionaire when it comes to minutes. Prime says the video game-based show was viewed for 2.6 billion minutes in its second week, just a 10% drop from its opening week, making it Prime's most viewed show ever, according to Yahoo Entertainment. Other shows in the top 5 for the week of April 15th through the 21st are Unlocked, A Jail Experience, Baby Reindeer, Shogun, and The Circle. So much content, so little time. Sure, signing up for a website that makes it easy to cheat on your spouse might sound like a good idea until you become a victim of the biggest data breach in history and find yourself in a Netflix documentary. Ashley Madison's Sex, Lies, and Scandal tells the story of how the site was rolling in cash until an employee decided to release the private information of 30 million users, many of them reality TV stars and politicians. Incidentally, the hacker responsible has never been caught and should probably lay low, as a lot of people have a bone to pick. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy tonight with showers and thunderstorms developing late, lows in the upper 50s. Some strong storms tomorrow with pockets of heavy rain, high mid-70s. Still a chance of rain Wednesday, breezy and 70. Sunshine returns for Thursday, highs close to 80. Currently at 64 degrees.
This is Chad Spate for Chad's Design Build. We're proud to employ some of the best carpenters and remodeling professionals in our industry. Are you honest and hardworking? Do you love to improve people's lives by improving their homes? Chad's Design Build offers excellent compensation and benefits focused on outstanding customer service, professional design, construction management, and craftsmanship, all in a nurturing, positive workplace. Whether you're thinking about remodeling your home or considering joining our team, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
Do you like Delta 8? It'd be cooler if you did. We proudly announce the Devil's Advocates have partnered with Herbal Aspect to bring your newest Delta 8 favorites, Devil's Gummies, exclusively at herbalaspect.com. Legal for consumption by adults, they may be mailed directly to your home. Always use Devil Radio at checkout to let Herbal Aspect know where you heard them. Order today for delivery. Devil's Gummies and Devil Radio exclusive specials only from herbalaspect.com, code Devil Radio.
Todd Albaugh.
Everybody join us next time as our friend and colleague Luke Mathers joins us for a Tuesday Tangent with Lukester. Be here.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Monday Happy Hour. Raspberry Beret, little Prince, Dom. But that was sort of the long, extended musical version. But here's why I play it. And then I'll turn it over to you. You tell me, don't look out the window. You might get distracted like a squirrel. But then you miss the world going by, Dom, and there was a man outside playing a ukulele on an electric unicycle wearing a beret. And I just thought, that guy's got it going on.
Only a beret or...
No, clothes and
a beret.
because
because if it was warm, she wouldn't wear much else. 844-967-2789. To get to Dana's, our last caller, his point, talking about the Senate border bill. Scalise, the Republican, apparently acknowledged this thing or made a complaint to PolitiFact that the border bill accepts 5,000 illegal immigrants a day. PolitiFact dug in, and here's what they say. The bill directs the Homeland Security Secretary to stop people from coming in and to deny them from applying for asylum if there is an average 5,000 migrant encounters at the southern border over 7 days. Well, that doesn't mean that 5,000 people would be let in each day before them. A person can be encountered and not let into the country. The encounters data tracks how many times officials stop migrants, not how many are let in. Before the emergency authority is triggered, immigration law will continue to be enforced with a higher standard for asylum interviews, faster adjudication process, and increased detention space. The number of encounters triggers the emergency authority, and the authority changes what happens when people try to cross the border. The bill does not allow any number of people who illegally cross the border. PolitiFact rates that claim false. So there you go, Dana. It's false.
I take the 5,000 immigrants per day, which seems like a big number, but it's not. Dick from Madison, welcome. What do you got for us, Dick?
Hey, Dick.
Well, first of all, real quickly, Trump today, too, he's out there outside of the courthouse saying, they want me to spend all my money. And this is on the Democrats. Why don't you constantly chastise them for all the lie? No, it's none of your money. It's the money that's coming into the RNC that you're spending like a drunken sailor, number one. But also, this would have been all over the news, and the Democrats fail again. This rally this weekend, I'm sure both of you have seen it, where he just melts down and can't talk for 35 seconds, a minute, when he's just standing there like a total dolt that he is.
Now,
and can't say anything.
Was it Mitch McConnell style? Because Mitch had a couple of real freeze-ups, and that's the way it's being described, but my boy Dom says it was more like, the teleprompter's not working, so he's sitting there miffed.
Yeah, he was mad that the teleprompter wasn't working, so he sat there and instead of coming up with something to say, just pouted until they got it working again. That was my impression. Although
that's what I would do.
Whatever
he did close his eyes for a few seconds as well.
Whatever it was, guys, the Democrats fail because they should be outing this every single time it happens.
I mean,
it happens often.
It does happen often, and it's all out there, Dick. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I don't know if you want the Democratic Party, Wickler from Wisconsin or the National Party to do that, but there's news articles everywhere. You can't get away from the fact that I first saw reporting like 2 minutes, and I went and looked at it, and it was like 30 seconds.
Dick, we've been quite busy just trying to keeping up with the farting in court.
But here's the thing. The national media doesn't cover it like it should be covered. For a fact, if that would have been Biden, they would have been all over it like stink on, I can't say it on the air. And it's maddening. Get on this guy and stay on him.
Well, sorry to cut you short, Dick, but I was going to say that's why we need these two candidates on the debate stage, Dom. And then you'll read the transcript the next day, something like that. 844-967-2789, trying to sneak a few more in. Mark from the SAC, welcome. What do you got for us, Mark?
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, on the whole, hey guys, on the whole Lauren Boebert thing, I don't think it was Beetlejuice she was after when she's at the show with her busy hands. But it is just sad that I hear the Trump apologists talk, And of course, they're not apologizing for them; they're explaining it, and that's what the apology means in a classic sense. That how they overlook the fact that this man committed crimes. He solicited people to commit the crimes, or they did it on their own too. And the whole fake elector things, it is a big deal. And as far as the whole paperwork thing, these are just little paperwork crimes. When I was auditing, the grants, that if there's things that were wrong, and then people didn't want to supply the information, or they falsified the information, that was something major that I had to look into. I mean, that these things it is a big deal. When you violate the law, it is a big deal. And this man held the highest office in the world, and this man chose to commit crimes while he was in office and subsequent to his being in office. And why they want to cut him any slack is just beyond me, because it is just integrity is supposed to mean something. Principles are supposed to mean something. And if you abandon those
Come on, man.
for your candidate,
That's a nice thought. That's really sweet, Mark. I vaguely remember those days and those lessons, but that ain't how it is, man. And if anything, what we should do is acknowledge that and beat them back at their own game, man. I'm so tired of the both sidesism kind of thing going on. I think the media has, to our last caller's point, has in some ways failed us to this degree. When a guy stands up and says, I won Minnesota in 16 and 20, man, I mean, how do you not beat the guy over the head verbally with that over and over and over again? I mean, the guy, he should be, in everything he says, he should be, roundly criticized and shamed by the media, man. Now I'm not talking about the politics. I'm talking about
boo
media.
that man. Boo
that man, Mark. It's just there's failure all around us, Mark.
absolutely. I mean, absolutely, because the whole thing, he lost Minnesota by over 200,000 votes. I mean, it just those are real numbers. I mean,
the governor. I think the governor of Minnesota said that a Republican hasn't won Minnesota since Nixon. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. How do you? And people like Donald Trump. He says this. He makes it. He makes this claim. Well, okay, you're a supporter of him. How do you justify that? For real, man.
They tried to slate false electors out of New Mexico. Trump also lost New Mexico by over 100,000 votes.
So Rudy got served for interfering with the Arizona election, but nothing happened in Wisconsin. Josh Call, Attorney General, buddy, what's happening, man?
I don't know, but I did want to acknowledge Mark's commitment. I mean, think about that. Mark sat on hold for 45 minutes so he could tell a Lauren Boebert Beetlejuice handy joke. I mean, come on, that's real commitment to the craft.
That certainly is. Work on your material, man. We always appreciate our audience.
844-967-2789. Dom, I got one quick story, and you can certainly interrupt me with your phone calls. This weekend, I was so proud to get up to the lake and get on the boat. My wife and I, up there alone, no kids. What a nice little romantic venture on the lake. And I felt the gas can. I'm like, oh, that's pretty low. I'm like, we'll just go one lap. Got about 3/4 of a lap, and we're on the other side of the lake and ran out of gas. And I tell Mrs. Crute, I'm like, don't worry about it, baby. I got a trolling motor. It's going to take a little longer, but we weren't in a hurry. Just sit back. Well, the trolling motor shorting out. It's going for like 3 seconds, then stopping, and then going for 3 to 5 seconds and stopping. So it's not really propelling us any faster than the wind is blowing us. So Mrs. Crute grabs a paddle because she's been chastised on the radio for not lending a hand, right? Only she keeps rowing, but it's moving the direction of the boat. So Michael had to row the boat to shore.
Yeah.
I'm like, baby, how about you do the trolling motor and steer us towards... I had to pull a 16-foot boat via oar, and it was laborious. My shoulders kind of stung after that.
Good workout for you, Michael.
And then here's why it's true love. I went to the gas station. I got gas. I put it in the boat, and I'm like, baby, you want to go for a boat ride? And she said yes. Short-term memory, not great on her either, Dom. Obviously, it's the only way we stay married some days.
You gotta have a short-term memory, man.
I wish I'd have had someone I could have blamed that on. Dominic.
No, man, but Crute, you remember everything, man. You hold all sorts of grudges, man. You got an enemies list, Crute.
Oh, like, all the way back to preschool.
You still like curse them at night on your way to sleep. You got
there's a kid that I
guarantee in your head that you say their names over and over and over and over again.
There's a kid, I bet, that curses me because on May 18th of 1980, the big news headline, and each day in Ms. Clybanner's fourth grade class, she would, this is on the west side of Madison, Eagle School, round school, super cool round school. And then we had like a round gymnasium as well. So 2 circles, but I'm in Mrs. Clybanner's fourth grade class. I learned more that year than all my other years in school. I swear to God. And she would encourage us to bring current events, sort of like we do on the radio here.
Sure.
And there was this kid, Andy Oslison, and I hope Andy's listening. He might be out there in the Madison area. And anyways, Monday morning, I'm raising my hand. Ooh. And Andy's also raising his hand. And she said, who knows what big news story happened this weekend? And she called on me. And I've never seen a human being so crestfallen as poor Andy. Because it was Mount St. Helens erupting.
Ah.
The volcano, right? It's the biggest news of the nerdy. I mean, I made a volcano in that class. And so anyways, I stumped Andy. I stole his lead. And I bet I'm on his enemies list.
You can't blame you for that. I mean, if anything, the teacher should be at fault for that. The teacher called on you. What are you going to do?
I bet I'm still on Mr. Marty's enemies list. The guy that owns Big Al's might be on my enemies list. Let the people videotape through the window and capture me in my glory.
Shouldn't be doing naughty things. They don't have to worry about naughty results.
How about you, Dom? Who's on your enemies list? There's got to be a few. You've threatened to shoot me in the face, and I'm a friend.
You're a friend, man. Exactly. I like to, get all my angst and thoughts out. So, everyone knows where they stand. No enemies list for me. Well, I do have one. I'm a little concerned about this one. To get back to a topic here shortly before we wrap this up. Alito flying the flag upside down at his house? What?
So is he identifying you as the enemy? You're the enemy of the state?
I think so. The press is the enemy.
Because you would be profane, I feel quite sure.
Oh.
You would probably put the F Trump sign in your yard, especially if you lived in Alito's neighborhood.
Right?
You would be that guy, wouldn't you?
I mean, no, I don't think I would. I generally try to not do that. It's one thing to put a campaign sign in your yard. It's another thing to taunt your neighbors with it. I do my taunting on the radio, man. It's certainly F that guy. But the reaction of Justice Alito to blame his wife? My wife? No, what is it with all the wives getting everything, man? Oh, I blame my wife. I blame my wife's fault. My wife's fault. My wife did it. I didn't. It had nothing to do with it. It was all my wife.
I can't believe Mrs. Crute didn't remind me to get more than a half gallon of gas before we went out on the lake.
I blame her entirely. It's her fault. Why did she remind you?
Wow. Why would she possibly choose to go on the lake with me? That was her first mistake. That boat's like 50 years old, right?
Almost as old as you, Crute.
Almost. Come back with us. Alito, Dom's buddy. His favorite Supreme Court justice. Has he supplanted Clarence Thomas in your heart and mind?
Oh,
he's number one?
I think so. I mean,
top of the enemies list?
Given Dobbs and all that, man, what a joke. Are you kidding me? This guy's supposed to be impartial. He's going to be voting on whether or not Donald Trump has absolute immunity while he's flying the flag, the distressed U.S. flag in his yard. Most real Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789. Crute has something to say on the other side.
Sounds like Gableman. devilradioswag.com. Crew necks, hoodies, coffee mugs, exclusive merchandise of the greatest radio show ever. Only at the devilradioswag.com, because we got bills too. Do you like Delta 8? It'd be cooler if you did. We proudly announce the Devil's Advocates have partnered with Herbal Aspect to bring your newest Delta 8 favorites, Devil's Gummies, exclusively at herbalaspect.com. Legal for consumption by adults, they may be mailed directly to your home. Always use Devil Radio at checkout to let Herbal Aspect know where you heard them. Order today for delivery. Devil's Gummies and Devil Radio exclusive specials only from herbalaspect.com. Code Devil Radio. Hey, Dom, how many palindromes can you name in 30 seconds?
Race car, mom, dad, reefer, kayak, level. Did I say mom already?
You're forgetting one really important one.
Zero res.
Not only is it the coolest palindrome ever, it's also our favorite.
Right, I remember. Why is that again?
They advertise with us.
Zero res, my favorite palindrome.
And carpet cleaner. Get the best carpet cleaning ever. Schedule your carpet cleaning online at zeroresmadison.com. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Hey, Darcy, I just saw the perfect house. Can you help me write an offer on it?
I'd be happy to, Brian. Did you see it at an open house?
No, I just called a sign, had the agent show it to me. I didn't want to bug you.
Right. How many times have you heard me say don't call the sign?
All of them?
You called the agent working for the seller, and once you see the property with that agent, I'm no longer free to write an offer on it. You need to hire us from the beginning, help you find the right home, negotiate on your behalf, and protect your interests all the way through the process, and it shouldn't cost you a dime.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Occupy didn't start on Wall Street. It started on our street. The Devil's Advocates.
Hey, welcome back to the Devil Advocates Radio Show, our last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up on the lines right now, 844-967-2789. Crute, the Rolling Stone, obviously one of many journalists.
Kid Rock's favorite magazine this week.
Outfits out there talking about the Alito flying the flag upside down. A little bit from the body of that piece. U.S. flag code, Crute. You know how the Republicans are very, very sensitive about U.S. flag code. Well, U.S. flag code stipulates the Star-Spangled Banner should never be displayed with a union down, except as a signal of dire distress in instances of extreme danger to life or property. When asked about the flag by the New York Times, Alito threw his wife under the bus, stating that he had no involvement whatsoever in flying the flag. It was briefly placed by Mrs. Alito in response to a neighbor's use of an objectionable, personally insulting language on yard signs, he added. One neighbor did confirm that there had been an ongoing dispute between Mrs. Alito and a neighbor who placed an anti-Trump sign in their front lawn. Alito told Fox News on Friday that a neighbor had a sign that said F Trump within 50 feet of where children wait for the school bus.
But you realize during a pandemic, those kids weren't going to actual school. They weren't seeing that sign, but please continue.
Yeah, but they could have gone to school. They described the ensuing war of words between Alito's and the man who put up the sign, and that Mrs. Alito, she was distraught, Crute. As the Rolling Stone reports, even if this is true, it doesn't explain why she would have decided to fly an upside-down American flag, or why Alito would have allowed the upside-down flag to fly despite Supreme Court ethics restrictions, regarding public political displays by the justices. It's also an unsatisfactory attempt at dismissing concerns over Alito's ability to remain impartial over cases related to the 2020 election. And the article goes on from there. I mean, he could have put in what would it say? Let's go Brandon sign. You know, oh, you can't do that. We're just going to fly the Star-Spangled Banner upside down as in what? Trump lost, so the union is in jeopardy? And now you're going to what? We're supposed to believe that you're going to remain objective in these trials? So lots of Dems obviously upset about that, saying that he should not be on these cases. But, you know, I'm not sure if the Supreme Court ethics code would allow them to do that.
He will not recuse, Don.
No,
Alito was the one that sat there and shook his head no to Barack Obama, right? When he said that Citizens United would open the floodgate of unlimited dark money spending. I think Obama was pretty prescient on that.
Pretty sure Obama was right on that, and Alito was wrong again.
Let me throw a little of Ruth Marcus's opinion piece out there. Samuel Alito's flag flew upside down. Are his ethics? Maybe. The upside down U.S. flag flying at the home of Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito Jr. only days after the Trump-inspired insurrection of January 6, 2021 shouldn't come much as a surprise. After all, Alito has been doing the moral equivalent for years and at the office, which is way worse. In oral arguments, in speeches, and in opinions themselves, he is the Fox News newsiest of the justices, most likely to pick up the conservative media talking points, and most predictably partisan when it comes to his votes. Of course, the flag flying was grossly improper, an apparent endorsement of the Stop the Steal movement. Alito himself seemed to recognize this, as he blamed his wife for the "oh say can you see" moment, asserting it flew just briefly after a neighborhood dispute escalated into a profane personal attack on Martha Ann Alito. She should apologize, whatever the provocation. Justices and their wives should behave in a way that is above reproach. This wasn't. And the justice himself should provide more information about how long the flag was up, how quickly he intervened, and why. That would help the public assess whether Alito should heed calls from Democrats such as Dick Durbin, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, to recuse himself from the election-related cases now pending, one involving former President Donald Trump's assertion that he has absolute presidential immunity from criminal prosecution for his official acts, the others concerning the scope of an obstruction statute under which Trump has been charged. Now, Ruth Marcus writes, I'm not there, not yet, although the Post reporting on the neighbors who said the flag was upside down for 2 to 5 days gives me pause, she writes. That's not briefly, as Alito said in his statement, or for a short time, as he told Fox News. He should have gone home from the office, seen the flag, and asked his wife to take it down right away. Dawdling for days, if that's what happened, is hugely problematic. Is it the duration it flew for, Dom? Is that the problem?
844-967-2789 is part of the problem. Absolutely. It's a continuation, another example of the many, many problems. Wisco Paul, you are not a problem. Welcome. You'll have the last word today. What do you got for us?
Hey, Paulie.
Hey, good afternoon, Devils. At this point, the conservative Supreme Court is a joke, and you have 2 down for J6, and I do believe Alito was taking money from somebody. Gorsuch is taking money. Even the Chief Justice is taking
Somebody
money.
paid off Kavanaugh's debts.
Yeah, the whole thing's a joke. It's just a complete. It's actually, we should become the laughing stock of the world because we're supposed to be, what are we, the shining light or whatever?
Somebody bought Clarence Thomas a Winnebago, man. That's his shining light you're seeing, Wisco.
Oh, what a joke these people are. You know, it all fits in with Trump, though. The whole thing's a joke. And hey, and one last thing. Please don't call Fox News. Call it Foxy or Fox or something, but it certainly isn't news because I would imagine they're down for this whole thing. Hey, if you don't know what else to do and you can't stand up as a man, blame your wife. I know what would happen to me if I did that.
She'd smack the snot out of you, Paul, just like my wife does. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Rich, for all your hard work. Thank you, Mrs. Crute, for being tolerant.
All right, fellas.